Chapter 23-21. Kacha. Streaks of chaotic thunderbolts were as terrifying as mountains. Some of the thunderbolts were even imbued with spirituality and turned into thunderous dragons, thunderous tigers, thunderous cheilants, and other beasts. They pounced towards Ling Xiao at the same time. Ling Xiao wanted to break through the shackles of his physical body. Instantly, the great Tao sensed it and a terrifying divine tribulation descended. Endless thunderbolts intertwined and it made one's heart palpitate. Such a terrifying divine tribulation would cause even a true sage to be fearful and not have any thoughts of resisting it. Good timing. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a sharp light and his eyes lit up instantly. An incomparably strong fighting spirit emerged. In Ling Xiao's opinion, this divine tribulation wasn't a tribulation to stop his physical body from becoming a sage. Instead, it was the strongest aid to help him break through the shackles of his physical body and become a sage. Boom! 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 Ling Xiao's fists were like dragons and he didn't hesitate to release his strongest strength. He continuously attacked the thunderbolts in the sky. Every time his fists collided with the thunderbolts, it was as if the heavens were falling and the earth was cracking. Huge thunderbolts were created. The terrifying divine tribulation enveloped Ling Xiao. The thunderbolts were filled with chaotic light and they were all formed by the Great Tao. They contained the murderous intent of the Great Tao. Every thunderbolt was comparable to a full-powered attack from a sage. It was extremely terrifying. The thunderbolts shrouded Ling Xiao and the roars of dragons and tigers could be heard from within. They even turned into ancient weapons, as if they were the imprints of the Great Tao Emperor weapons of the Antiquity Age. They contained peerless murderous intent. Ling Xiao had also gone crazy from the battle. His blood was boiling and his blood-red cloak was fluttering behind him. His black hair danced wildly and his eyes were like blazing suns that pierced through the thunderbolts. Roar! Ling Xiao suddenly roared at the sky. He opened his mouth and a powerful devouring force came from it. It was like a whale swallowing the sea, swallowing the lightning that filled the sky. Rumble! The thunderbolts exploded in Ling Xiao's body and spread through his flesh and bones. They gushed out from his pores and bombarded the shackles of his physical body. Kacha! The shackles of his physical body shook violently and cracks appeared as if they were going to break at any time. Open! Ling Xiao's spirit was shaken, and his eyes were filled with a blazing sharpness. Terrifying divine power erupted from his body, and his arms seemed to have penetrated the boundary between reality and illusion. He directly grabbed the shackle and pulled violently. Boom! The shackles around Ling Xiao's body were blasted into smithereens. The shackles of his body had been completely shattered. Rumble! Ling Xiao's body glowed brightly. Beams of light shot out and intertwined with each other. It was as if they could pierce through the heavens, containing the power to destroy everything. The small worlds in his acupuncture points originally contained a vast amount of power, which was the divine treasure of his fleshly body. However, because of the existence of the shackles of his fleshly body, they couldn't burst out. Now that the shackles on his body had been broken, the vast power intertwined with each other and turned into a storm that swept in all directions, causing the entire sea of chaos to tremble violently. Ling Xiao floated in the void with his eyes lowered. His expression was incomparably calm, and the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. He had a kind of great joy, great freedom, and great detachment. He felt that the heavens and earth had become incomparably clear. He could see through the essence of the sea of chaos in all directions, and the chaotic Great Tao laws could no longer affect him. At this moment, a bright rain of light appeared from Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, which directly blended into his flesh and bones, perfectly fusing into one. Every drop of his flesh and blood contained Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, cultivation, and memory imprints. As long as he had a drop of flesh and blood, he could immediately restore his true body. This was the true immortal body, rebirth from a drop of blood. Is this the physical sanctification? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of understanding. The immortal body was one of the most obvious divine powers of the divine body. With the immortal body, even a sage king expert could forget about completely killing Ling Xiao. Besides the immortal body, Ling Xiao felt that his divine body treasury had been completely opened up. His physical strength was more than 10 times or 100 times stronger than before. Now, he could directly kill a sage with a casual punch. This was the terrifying part of the divine body. Although this path was extremely difficult, once he successfully broke the shackles and became a divine body, he could rely on his own strength to break through and shatter everything, possessing invincible combat strength. Now, Ling Xiao had finally broken through to the sage realm. If anyone knew that Ling Xiao had broken the shackles of the divine body, they would definitely be incomparably shocked. After all, this path was too difficult. It was rare for one to appear in millions of years, let alone a human with a weak physical body. Now, Ling Xiao had done it. With the divine body, my current combat strength should be enough to sweep across the sage realm. I can even fight against a supreme sage. If my primordial spirit, precepts, and heart force can all become a sage at the same time, reaching the 4-sage realm, then even a sage's cultivation will be enough to suppress a supreme sage and be invincible. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly, revealing a strong sense of confidence. Ever since he ascended from the god of war realm to the god realm, Ling Xiao had always felt a sense of danger. He was afraid that his identity would be exposed, so he cultivated with all his might. After experiencing countless life and death hardships, he finally had the cultivation today. Although the divine body was not invincible, it already gave him the strength to establish a foothold in the god realm. After returning to the god realm this time, I can find a chance to go down to the lower realm and bring father and mother there. Staying in the lower realm will always be a hidden danger. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Buzz! The dazzling golden light around him slowly receded, and the runes looked incomparably mysterious. They were crystal clear as if they contained the principles of heaven and earth. However, at this moment, all of them receded into his body, disappearing without a trace. When Ling Xiao's aura receded, it was as if he had no cultivation at all. He was just like an ordinary scholar, without a trace of an expert's fluctuation. After the divine body, Ling Xiao had reached the realm of returning to one's original state. Even if he did not use the heaven-shrouding secret technique, ordinary people would not be able to see through his cultivation. However, Ling Xiao felt a little regretful. Although he had broken the shackles of his physical body with the help of the chaotic energy, his primordial spirit, precepts, and heart force were still a little lacking. He needed to slowly polish his cultivation and push all 3 of them to the perfect realm before he could continue to break through. You're the first to use the chaotic energy to achieve divine body. Not bad, not bad. Suddenly, an old voice rang in Ling Xiao's ears. Who's there? Ling Xiao's expression changed, and he looked in front of him cautiously. Buzz! A dazzling light filled the air, and a figure emerged from the chaotic mist, reflected in Ling Xiao's eyes. Chapter 23-22. It was an old man with white hair and a white beard. He wore a Taoist robe and his face was ruddy like a baby's. He looked like an immortal with an ethereal and otherworldly temperament. His eyes, in particular, were ancient, wise, and profound. It was as if he had seen through the long river of time and seen through the boundless mortal world. He had a great sense of freedom. He walked out of the chaos. His original figure was incomparably illusory, but when he walked in front of Ling Xiao, it was as if he had passed through endless time and space and became real. Who are you? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he stared at the old man in front of him. He did not feel a trace of cultivation from this old man, but the old man gave him an unfathomable feeling. It was as if this endless sea of chaos made one's heart palpitate. Who am I? That's a question from a long time ago. The young man who asked me this question last time seemed to be called Di Jun. The old man with white hair and beard smiled faintly. His expression was very amiable. Di Jun. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. His eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. He had talked with Zhao Ritian before and knew that the Sky Emperor's real name was Di Jun. This old man with white hair and beard actually called the Sky Emperor a young man. Could it be that he met the Sky Emperor at the end of the last demon era, during the Chosen One conference? If that was the case, then this old man's background was simply terrifying to the extreme. Senior, Dijun is His Majesty the Sky Emperor of the human race. Could it be that you met His Majesty at the last Chosen One conference? Senior, who are you? Ling Xiao cupped his hands and bowed to the old man. He did not feel the slightest hostility from this old man. Instead, he felt a very amiable aura. This made him even more curious about this old man's background. That's right. Dijun was indeed the Chosen One last time. I didn't expect that kid to be so amazing in the end. Not only did he become the first celestial emperor of the human race, he actually swept through the heavens and created the human era. He is indeed the most talented person I have ever seen in countless eras. The old man smiled and said with some emotion. As for who I am, can't you guess it? Rumble. As soon as the old man finished speaking, a vast and majestic way permeated the surroundings, causing the chaos sea in the surroundings to tremble violently. Strands of laws permeated the air as if they could connect the heavens and the myriad worlds. It was mysterious and unfathomable. This is the aura of the heavenly Tao. Could it be that you are? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. He could actually sense the aura of the 3,000 great Taos from the old man's body. Furthermore, the old man exuded the power of the origin of the world. Facing the old man, Ling Xiao felt like he was facing the heavens and the earth. Could this old man be the supreme heavenly Tao of all the realms? This thought made Ling Xiao extremely shocked. He even felt that it was crazy, but it was an incomparably real feeling. That's right. I am the heavenly Tao. To be exact, I am the spirit of the heavenly Tao, and also the incarnation of the heavenly Tao. I can only awaken from my slumber when the great tribulation of the epoch is about to occur and the world is about to be destroyed and reborn. The old man said with a smile. Boom. He slowly stretched out his arm, and his 5 fingers moved slightly. Suddenly, runes rose up, and a chaotic light exploded, opening up an ancient world, giving birth to countless creatures. He clenched his fist, and immediately, the world collapsed and returned to chaos. Behind the old man, Ling Xiao could see many ancient worlds emerging from the streams of chaotic light. Countless worlds were born and destroyed, but the old man exuded an eternal and indestructible aura. Almost instantly, Ling Xiao believed it. This old man could actually control the 3,000 great Taos, and he could also control the chaos to open up the heavens and earth at will. The boundless aura of the origin was incomparably majestic and endless. Ling Xiao felt that even a great emperor would pale in comparison to this old man. If this old man wasn't the heavenly Tao, who else could be? Old man heavenly Tao. I originally thought that the heavenly Tao was a law and order without a physical body. I didn't expect the heavenly Tao to be able to take the form of a human. It seems that I have been ignorant. Ling Xiao said with some emotion. He felt an aura of the same origin from the heavenly Tao elder in front of him. Almost instantly, he understood the meaning of the Chosen One. The so-called Son of Heaven was a person chosen by the heavenly Tao. They were blessed with the karmic luck of the heavenly Tao and possessed the fortune bestowed by the heavenly Tao. Only then would they be able to advance courageously on the path of martial Tao. The heavenly Tao luck on his body should have come from the heavenly Tao elder in front of him. Even the chaotic energy was bestowed by the heavenly Tao elder. Otherwise, Ling Xiao wouldn't have been able to attain sage realms so easily. Everything has a spirit. Grass, trees, mountains, and rocks all have a spirit. Why can't the heavenly Tao have a spirit? Ling Xiao, you were able to come here not only because I chose you, but also because your talent far surpasses everyone else. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to become the Chosen One. The heavenly Tao elder smiled faintly. Heavenly Tao elder, since you are the heavenly Tao of this universe, why are you here? Could it be that you have something for me to do? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he cupped his hands and bowed. You don't have to test me. I have no ill intentions towards you. Since I am the heavenly Tao, there is naturally nothing I don't know and nothing I can't do. Of course, I have my mission by appearing here. I am also waiting for your arrival. The heavenly Tao elder looked at Ling Zhao with a deep gaze as though he could see through Ling Zhao with a single glance. Waiting for my arrival? Ling Zhao asked doubtfully. That's right. Do you know the origin of the heavenly choice meeting? The heavenly Tao elder nodded. I don't know. Ling Zhao shook his head. The heavenly choice meeting only appears at the end of an era. Its purpose is to maintain the order of the universe. It selects the most talented person from the billions of races and bestows them with the heavenly Tao luck so that they can lead a race to prosperity and create a new era. This is the origin of the chosen one. And you are the 108th chosen one. The heavenly Tao elder said slowly with an ethereal voice, 108. Could it be that this universe has already experienced 108 eras? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. The mysteries of the universe that the heavenly Tao elder spoke of shocked him greatly. An era could easily last for billions of years. Who knew how many powerful races, peerless figures, and prosperous civilizations were born? Chapter 23:23. Before the human epoch was the demon epoch. Because the demon race was too powerful, their foundations were incomparably deep, and they were once the lords of several epochs, the human race was unable to exterminate the demon race. Otherwise, the human epoch would have been founded on the destruction of the demon race. After hundreds of millions of years, perhaps no one would even remember that the demon race had once existed. But now, Elder Heaven was telling Ling Zhao that the world had already experienced 108 epochs. This represented 108 powerful races. How could Ling Zhao not be shocked? 108 epochs, 108 ancient cities in the ancient chaos land, 108 secret techniques in the wordless heavenly book. Could there be some sort of connection? Ling Zhao thought to himself. Ling Zhao, do you know how the myriad worlds were formed? Old man Tian glanced at Ling Zhao and slowly explained, actually, at the beginning of the 108 eras, there was no celestial world. There was only a complete universe, an eternal and boundless ancient continent. However, because of Emperor's fall, countless emperors fell and that universe was shattered. Gradually, it evolved into the celestial world. The great epic calamity was like a cycle of reincarnation. It caused the myriad worlds to constantly change and approach each other. It was as if the universe wanted to repair itself and become complete. Countless fortunes and opportunities would appear during the great tribulation of an epoch. Millions of races and countless supreme experts understood this. That was why they fought and fought for it. They wanted to create an epoch and turn it into the strongest foundation of a race. As Elder Heaven, in the great epic calamity, when the universe shattered and the myriad worlds appeared, I was also torn apart. I was heavily injured and fell into a deep slumber. It was only at the end of the epoch when the universe was in turmoil that I was able to temporarily awaken from my slumber and transform into my current form. However, I met the chosen one that I chose. However, 108 epochs have passed. I've waited for far too long, but I still haven't met someone who can help me. Emperor Jun almost succeeded in the past, but he still fell on the path. Today, I've finally met you. Old man Tian's voice was indifferent and ethereal, but the contents of his words were like thunder in Ling Zhao's ears, causing his entire body to tremble. This was a secret of heaven and earth, a secret that even the Supreme Emperor might not know. Now, old man Tian Dao had revealed everything to him, and he knew everything. Not only did Ling Zhao know about the origin of the great tribulation of the epoch, but he also knew about the past of this universe. Old man Tian Dao didn't hide anything and told him everything. You waited for me. May I know why Senior is waiting for me? Even His Majesty Di Jun couldn't do it. Aren't you overestimating me? Ling Zhao asked with a bitter smile. You're right. In terms of talent, you are still far behind Di Jun. But the difference is that this is the 108th era. Old man Tian's voice became solemn. His words almost choked Ling Xiao to death. Ling Xiao was just being modest, but he didn't expect old man Tian Dao to think that he was far inferior to Di Jun. This hurt Ling Xiao. After all, he knew that he wasn't weaker than anyone. Even when facing Zhao Ritian, the son of the Celestial Emperor, he didn't think that he was inferior to Zhao Ritian. But now, he felt that he was being looked down upon. The 108th era. What's the difference? Ling Xiao cursed in his heart, but he still asked doubtfully. Of course it's different. The 108th era is also the last era of this universe. Just like the cycle of the 4 seasons, this universe is about to enter winter. The great tribulation of the epoch this time will be more tragic than any other time. Billions of races from all over the universe will be swept in. Even those self-proclaimed old monsters and supreme experts from a few eras ago will awaken. When the time comes, there will definitely be an earth-shattering war. Old man Tian Dao's face was filled with compassion. The most tragic great tribulation of the epoch? What is this so-called great tribulation? Why can it cause a war between all the worlds? Ling Xiao asked. When the great tribulation of the epoch descends, the world barrier of all the worlds in the universe will become extremely weak. Moreover, the suppression of the Great Path Order will also be reduced to the lowest. What do you think will happen? Old man Tian Dao asked. What? Ling Xiao was shocked. If the world barrier became extremely weak, wouldn't it mean that one would be able to enter and exit other worlds at will? By then, the divine world that the human race relied on to defend against the demon race's invasion would be like a piece of paper. It would no longer be of any use. It turned out that this was the real Great Tribulation. Moreover, the reason why the Great Tribulation of the epoch this time will be even more tragic. Not only will the world barrier of all the worlds in the universe disappear, but it is also very likely that they will reunite as one and become a complete world. Old man Tian Dao let out another thunderbolt. Reunite as one. A complete world? Ling Xiao's heart quivered as he finally felt the seriousness of the matter. If all the races in the universe were to descend upon the divine world, what would happen by then? By then, the entire divine world would be plunged into misery and suffering. Other than the 12 immortal sacred grounds and a few great emperor races who could protect themselves, most of the human race would be incomparably miserable. They would be abused by the other races and fall into endless darkness. After all, the human race had created the human epoch on the basis of bloody conquest. Other than the demon race who had already become their mortal enemy, the human race had also offended many other powerful races. If all the races entered a complete world, if there was a great emperor, perhaps the other races would be wary of them and be able to protect themselves. However, although the human race looked prosperous now, it had been countless years since a great emperor had appeared. At that time, the human race would be in the most danger. Senior, what do you need me to do? Ling Xiao saw the most terrifying future from old man Tian Dao's description and asked seriously. Ling Xiao, if we allow the myriad races to wage war, I'm afraid it'll be another Emperor's Fall War. The complete world will be shattered again. At that time, our universe will truly be consigned to eternal damnation. I need you to grow as much as you can, suppress the races, and collect the fate of all races to make up for the heavenly Tao. Old man Tian Dao said to Ling Xiao. Suppress the races. Collect the fate of all races. Senior, you really think highly of me. Ling Xiao said with a bitter smile. This was something that even the heavenly emperor back then had failed to do, let alone Ling Xiao who had just become a sage. Who knew how long it would take for him to reach the supreme emperor realm? I believe you. I can only believe you. I know you want to save the human race. My request does not contradict your thoughts. Chapter 23-24. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment and nodded. Senior, I will try my best, but I can't guarantee that I can fulfill your wish and mend the heavenly way. The heavenly way elder was right. Ling Xiao's goal did not conflict with the heavenly way elder's request. If Ling Xiao could really stand at the peak of the martial Tao and possess such strength and realm, it would be his duty to mend the heavenly way. I believe in you. Those who are chosen by the wordless heavenly book are the best in terms of talent and luck. Moreover, you have already proven your Tao and become a saint. You will gradually discover the wonderful effects of the wordless heavenly book. If you can prove your Tao and become an emperor and wield the wordless heavenly book, you will definitely be able to defeat all races and suppress the heavens. The Heavenly Way elder smiled faintly. Ling Xiao rolled his eyes and said with a chuckle, Senior, you see, my current strength is still too weak. If I encounter a sage ruler or an imperial emperor, I won't be able to resist at all. Since I have been chosen by you as the chosen one, do you think you should bestow some treasures to me? Ling Xiao's mind started to work. Since the Heavenly Way Elder was the incarnation of the Heavenly Way, he would definitely have countless treasures. Ling Xiao naturally wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to ask for more benefits. Kid, you were able to come here and absorb the luck of all races. With the help of the chaotic energy, your physical body has become a saint. Isn't that good fortune? The Heavenly Way Elder said helplessly. Senior. Although the karmic luck of the myriad races and the primal chaos energy have greatly increased my cultivation, you should know that I have the wordless heavenly book and am the chosen one. If I leave the primal chaos ancient land, not only will the devil race not let me go, but many humans will covet my wordless heavenly book as well. Why don't you bestow me with 8 or 10 life-saving trump cards? Ling Xiao chuckled. 8 or 10 life-saving trump cards. Do you think they are all cabbages? The Heavenly Way Elder was so angry that he rolled his eyes. However, he also fell into deep thought. Ling Xiao was right. He had become the target of everyone. If he left this chaotic ancient land, he would definitely be hunted down by the demon race and many other experts. Although the Heavenly Way Elder was the incarnation of the Heavenly Way, he could not directly help Ling Xiao. How about this? I can give you 2 life-saving trump cards. The Heaven's Choice Convention is being watched by countless powerhouses from all over the universe. I can't help you too blatantly, otherwise I'll be discovered. You leaving the chaotic ancient land is indeed a calamity that you are destined to face. It would be a pity if you died just like that. Old Man Tian said after some thought. Senior, please bestow a treasure upon me. Ling Xiao's heart trembled as he replied respectfully. Someone that even Old Man Tian Dao was afraid of was at least a peerless emperor realm expert. The primal chaos ancient land was now a whirlpool in the myriad heavens. Old Man Tian Dao didn't dare to help Ling Xiao escape directly. Therefore, there was bound to be a fierce battle after he left the primal chaos ancient land. Take out the time compass. This is the only complete extreme Dao monarch weapon you have. I can help you awaken the time compass once. It will be able to unleash an attack comparable to that of a peerless emperor. I can seal it in the time compass. When you are in danger, you can activate the time compass to kill your enemies. Old Man Tian slowly said. All right. Ling Xiao nodded. A bright light shone from his glabella as the black time compass flew out. It was enshrouded in bright light and flowed with the vicissitudes of time. It looked mysterious and extraordinary. Although Ling Xiao had obtained the flowing time emperor's inheritance, he still couldn't fully activate the time compass with his cultivation. He couldn't unleash the strongest power of the time compass. He handed the time compass to Old Man Tian Dao. Rumble. After Old Man Tian Dao received the time compass, he pointed his finger forward. In an instant, a blazing light flashed and rumbled like thunder. The time compass trembled slightly and a mysterious and ancient illusory image of a world appeared. It was as if the flowing time emperor's supreme true body had appeared. It was suppressing the strongest experts in the myriad heavens and killing billions of gods and devils. It was extremely powerful. Old Man Tian Dao's finger was enshrouded in 7-colored radiance. In the end, it sealed the flowing time emperor's finger and turned it into a resplendent rune. Ling Xiao could feel that the flowing time emperor's finger contained an incomparably terrifying power that could kill billions of gods and devils, shatter the heavens and earth, and shatter the laws of the great Tao into dust. The power of that finger was sealed in the time compass by the old man Tian Dao. Take it. I have extracted the flowing time emperor's power from the river of time and sealed it in the time compass. As long as you activate it, you will be able to unleash the time extinguishing finger. Old man Tian Dao handed the time compass back to Ling Xiao. Thank you, senior. Ling Xiao was overjoyed. He immediately received the time compass and placed it back into his sea of consciousness to nourish it. The time-extinguishing finger should be the power that the flowing time emperor used to kill billions of gods and devils. This was the flowing time emperor's full power attack. It was terrifying to the extreme. Not to mention a saint ruler, even an imperial emperor would find it difficult to withstand the power of this attack. This could be considered a true killing weapon. It gave Ling Xiao a life-saving trump card. Ling Xiao was naturally overjoyed. You're welcome. The second treasure I'm going to bestow upon you is this Hong Meng purple vapor. Old man Tian Dao's eyes were incomparably deep. A purple stream of air suddenly appeared in his palm. The purple stream of air looked like a small purple dragon. It flowed with brilliant colors and was extraordinarily mysterious. It contained the qi of the origin of the great Tao and also had a transcendent power. It was incomparably mysterious. Hong Meng purple vapor. Ling Xiao was shocked. He had vaguely heard that the Hong Meng purple vapor was a supreme treasure that even the great emperors would fight for. It was incomparably precious and had incomparably mysterious uses. Now, old man Tian Dao was going to bestow upon Ling Xiao a Hong Meng purple vapor. Senior, what is this Hong Meng purple vapor? How do I use it? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Hong Meng purple vapor. This is a supreme treasure. As for how to use it, you just have to integrate it into your primordial spirit. You will know its magical uses in the future. Old man Tian Dao said with some emotion. Although he did not say much, Ling Xiao could tell from old man Tian Dao's words that the Hong Meng purple vapor was probably an incredible treasure. Buzz. Without any hesitation, he directly followed old man Tian Dao's instructions and swallowed the Hong Meng purple vapor into his primordial spirit. The purple light looked holy and mysterious, majestic and ancient. When it integrated into Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, Ling Xiao felt warm all over. It was an indescribable comfort. However, other than that, he did not feel anything else. It seems like old man Tian Dao is right. This Hong Meng purple vapor is very mysterious. I need to slowly explore its mysteries. Chapter 23-25. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit sat cross-legged in his sea of consciousness. It was originally dazzling and sparkling like divine gold, but now it was enveloped by a layer of purple radiance, which made it seem indescribably noble. He felt his primordial spirit comfortable, as if his affinity with the heavens and earth had increased by a lot. Thank you, senior, for your treasures. Ling Xiao said seriously. He knew that whether it was the flowing time emperor's full-powered attack or the Hong Meng purple vapor, they were probably unimaginable treasures. With these two trump cards, Ling Xiao was much more confident. You're welcome. Ling Xiao, I hope you can work hard in your cultivation and become an emperor as soon as possible. You can mend the heavens and earth for me and open up a new world. I'm leaving now. Old man Tian Dao glanced at Ling Xiao and sighed softly. Take care, senior. Ling Xiao nodded and said. Meeting the old man Heavenly Dao in the Chaos Sea and meeting the incarnation of the Heavenly Dao made Ling Xiao feel like he was in a dream. However, the opportunity and creation that the old man Heavenly Dao gave him was extremely real. After hearing many secrets of the heavens and earth from old man Tian Dao, Ling Xiao felt a stronger sense of danger in his heart. He was eager to become stronger and stronger. Old man Tian Dao glanced at Ling Xiao and smiled faintly. Then, he walked into the depths of the Chaos Sea. With every step he took, his body became more illusory. In the end, he completely disappeared from the Chaos Sea as if he had never appeared. Kacha! Right after old man Tian Dao disappeared, the lightning in the Chaos Sea roared. The chaos light soared and a resplendent light bloomed. A huge void passage appeared in front of Ling Xiao. The void passage was hazy and dazzling, as if it led to an ancient world. However, Ling Xiao felt the aura from the void passage and immediately understood that it was a void passage that led to the divine realm. The Heaven's Choice Convention. Return to where you came from. As long as you didn't die in the Chaos Ancient Land, you could return to your own world. The Heaven's Choice Convention is over. It's time to return to the divine realm. I just don't know what kind of surprise awaits me this time. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he muttered to himself. He knew that he had become a thorn in many people's eyes the moment news of him possessing the wordless heavenly book was exposed. The devil race in particular hated him to the bone. There would probably be a great battle when he left the chaotic ancient land. However, Ling Xiao still chose to step into the passageway to the God realm. Rumble. Ling Xiao exuded a powerful battle intent. His eyes were as sharp as swords, and the blood and chi around him rose as if they had materialized. They formed a huge cape, giving him an invincible aura. He stepped inside, leaving the primal chaos ancient land. At this moment, undercurrents were surging in the myriad worlds because of the Heaven's Choice Convention. Ling Xiao had become the biggest winner of the Heaven's Choice Convention in the Chaos Ancient Land and won the title of Heaven's Chosen. This fact shocked the myriad races in the universe. After all, the human race was too powerful in this epoch. Ever since the Heavenly Emperor led the human race to the God realm, the 9 emperors of the human race had appeared one after another. They were like blazing suns in the 9 heavens, illuminating the path forward for the human race. They led the human race to prosperity and glory, creating an eternal civilization. In the eyes of many powerful races, the human race's threat was second only to the devil race. At the end of the epoch, the great calamity was about to arrive. Many races sent out their geniuses to compete for the position of Heaven's Chosen, but who would have thought that the title would be won by the human race again? After hearing this news, many experts in the universe began to fear the human race. They even viewed the human race as an existence that was as threatening as the devil race. The human race has become the Heaven's Chosen. This Ling Xiao deserves to die. We will never allow a second heavenly emperor to appear in the God realm. In an ancient world filled with an endless aura of death, even the sky was gray. Baleful energy and corpse poison filled the air, devoid of any color. This was the corpse world. A powerful expert broke out of the purple gold coffin and issued an order. That's right. Ling Xiao must die, and the wordless heavenly book must be brought back to the corpse world. I heard that the wordless heavenly book contains the ultimate mystery. The devil race was able to dominate for several epochs because of the existence of the wordless heavenly book. Another expert from the zombie clan directly broke through the mountain and soared into the sky from the endless black baleful aura. He stood at the peak of the sky, his eyes cold, his fangs sharp, and his wings blotting out the sun. I have already sensed the aura of the heavenly corpse Emperor Prince, but he fell in the ancient land of chaos. This must be related to Ling Xiao. We can't let him go. Kill. 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 Ling Xiao must die. Many experts of the zombie race reached a consensus. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Following the order of the expert of the zombie race, several incomparably powerful figures immediately bowed in response, then broke through the void and left the corpse world. After learning what happened in the ancient land of chaos, the devil world, the corpse world, the witch world, the ghost world, and the death world, the supreme experts of countless powerful worlds issued orders and sent out various experts to closely monitor every movement in the ancient land of chaos. They all wanted to kill Ling Xiao and seize the wordless heavenly book. What should we do? During this period of time, the heavens have been shaken, and the undercurrents are turbulent. I heard that many experts have secretly come to the divine world to hunt Ling Xiao down. Ling Xiao is a human, and he is the chosen one. Whether he has the wordless heavenly book or not, the supreme experts of the human race should protect his safety. We can't let him be attacked by the people of other powerful clans. Who says not? I heard that the heavenly emperor of an epoch ago was once the chosen one. Later, he led the human race to defeat the suppression of the devil race, entered the divine world, and started the human race era. Now that Ling Xiao has become the chosen one, who can guarantee that he won't become the second heavenly emperor? The second heavenly emperor? That's not so easy. However, he is the chosen one of the human race. Since when is it the turn of the other powerful clans to be so arrogant and despotic? Since they dare to come to the divine world to hunt Ling Xiao, we'll make sure they don't return. That's right. I'm willing to go and protect Lord Ling Xiao. No matter what, the human race should unite to protect Lord Ling Xiao. We can't let him die in the hands of those devil race bastards. You guys are still too naive. Although Ling Xiao is the chosen one, he has offended too many people. The 9 imperial gates, the 5 elements celestial sect, the sky gate of time and space. I heard that he has offended more than half of the 12 immortal sacred grounds. Many of the 12 sacred grounds saints and geniuses have died in his hands. Do you think they will help Ling Xiao? Isn't that so? Ling Xiao still has the wordless heavenly book in his possession. As the saying goes, a man's wealth is his own ruin. Who knows, there might be many people in the human race who want him dead so that they can seize his wordless heavenly book. How lamentable, the entire divine world was in an uproar because of the chosen one. Many experts of the human race were discussing and paying attention to Ling Xiao's news. However, there were those who were filled with righteous indignation, those whose blood was boiling, those who were sympathetic and worried, and those who were gloating. Chapter 23-26. Jade Emperor's Celestial Domain, Ling Xiao Mountain. Ling Xiao Mountain was located at the edge of Jade Emperor's Celestial Domain, close to the Endless Sea. It was a forbidden area in Jade Emperor's Celestial Domain. Legend had it that Ling Xiao Mountain was the location of the ancient heavenly court. There were countless jade palaces and a supreme great emperor overseeing the place. There were countless rare birds and beasts, exotic flowers and herbs. It was even said that the heavenly emperor had once built a heavenly palace here. However, it was completely destroyed because of the invasion of the demon world. The current Ling Xiao Mountain was full of ruins. One could vaguely see its former glory. Although it stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles, it was shrouded in chaotic aura and great Tao. Even time and space were in disorder. Ordinary people would not dare to enter at all. However, many experts had come to Ling Xiao Mountain during this period of time. The 12 immortal sacred grounds and several great emperor clans have sent experts here. Could it be that some treasure has appeared in Ling Xiao Mountain? Someone asked in shock. They saw that the saints of the 12 immortal sacred grounds had personally come to Ling Xiao Mountain. Moreover, they each occupied a mountain as if they were waiting for something. You guys don't know about this, right? I heard that the Fane of Destiny's sect master personally made a move and deduced that the passage to the chaotic ancient land is in Ling Xiao Mountain. After Ling Xiao leaves the chaotic ancient land, he will definitely appear here. Is it the Ling Xiao who obtained the wordless heavenly book and became the chosen one? Ling Xiao Mountain. Could this be heaven's will? How could it be such a coincidence? Isn't that so? As the saying goes, a man's wealth is his own ruin. I'm afraid that Ling Xiao is in danger. Don't think that the saints of the various sacred grounds and great emperor clans have come here. This is only the forces on the surface. They have secretly sent out countless experts. This place has become a place of trouble. A storm is brewing. A war is about to break out. What a pity. Although Ling Xiao is from the War God Temple, the War God Temple can't even protect themselves now. I'm afraid they can't save him. When the crowd saw the experts enter Ling Xiao Mountain one after another, they began to discuss in low voices. Their eyes were filled with sympathy. On a lone peak, Jean Say's red dress fluttered in the wind. She crossed her arms in front of her chest as she gazed at the sea of clouds in the distance. Although her expression was extremely cold, a sliver of worry flashed through her eyes. Junior sister Jean Say, I'm back. A stream of light flickered and Feng Qingyang appeared behind Jean Say. He sighed softly and said, What did master say? Jean Sei lowered her hands, but did not turn around. Only her indifferent voice could be heard, sounding incomparably cold. Junior sister, mother has agreed. As an ally of the War God Temple, she will lend a hand if Ling Xiao really encounters danger that he can't resist. Feng Qingyang nodded his head, but he hesitated to say something. Senior brother, what else do you want to say? Jean Sei turned around and said calmly. Junior sister. You should know that this time, Ling Xiao is most likely going to die. Not to mention that there are many people in the human race who want to deal with him, who knows how many experts from other worlds are hiding in the dark. I'm afraid that the ones who are attacking this time are at least saint-level experts. Feng Qingyang said slowly. I understand. But he can't die, I have to save him. Jean Sei said calmly, but there was an unquestionable determination in her voice. Feng Qingyang nodded and did not say anything else. Jean Sei stood on the lonely peak, her clothes fluttering in the wind. Her red dress was like a flame. She looked into the distance, deep and indifferent, but there were traces of sparkling light flickering in her eyes. She seemed to feel that the face in her memory was becoming more and more real. On the other mountain, was the territory of the Samsara Temple. Saintess, are you really going to marry the son of the sect master? Is it worth it for Ling Xiao? Shui Wei was dressed in a white dress, looking pure and holy. She had an otherworldly temperament, like a snow lotus on a snowy mountain, which made people unable to bear to blaspheme her. Standing behind her was an old woman with a snake-headed walking stick. She had a head full of silver hair and a face full of wrinkles. Her body emitted a cold aura, but at this moment, her eyes were filled with concern and worry as she looked at Shui Wei. Granny, you don't understand. I can give up everything for him. As long as the sect master can save him, even if I have to marry the son of the sect master, I will accept it. Shui Wei's lips curled into a smile, looking pure and beautiful. Her eyes were as bright as the stars in the sky. What a silly girl. The old woman shook her head and let out a long sigh. On the peak of the War God Hall, there was a figure in white sitting cross-legged. He was shrouded in a dazzling light, surrounded by mist, and exuded an extremely powerful aura. He was the only one from the War God Hall. The War God in white of the War God Hall, Lu Bai. Lu Bai actually came to the Ling Xiao mountain personally. Looks like he really values this Ling Xiao a lot. An elder from the 9-layer imperial obelisk sneered. What can Lu Bai do on his own? The current War God Hall is no longer the War God Hall of the past. They can't even protect themselves. If they still want to protect Ling Xiao, then the War God Hall will be completely destroyed. Elder Huang Tai of the 9 Imperial Gates also arrived and said coldly. The 9 Imperial Gates was originally the War God Hall's ally, but they were also the first to retaliate. They were even more brutal than the 5 Elements Celestial Sect and the Spacetime Heavenly Sect. No one knew how many princes of the War God Hall had died in their hands. After seeing Lu Bai, although they were a little surprised, they were not worried at all. Other than the 9 Imperial Gates, the Chaotic Heavenly Sect, the Destiny Shrine, the Myriad Buddha Temple, the Samsara Shrine, the Darkness Heavenly Sect, and the other immortal sanctuaries had all arrived. There were also the Chinese, the Golden Sovereign Tribe, and a few other sovereign tribes. The experts of the various forces had different expressions as they looked at Lu Bai coldly. Lu Bai closed his eyes and sat cross-legged on the peak as if he had forgotten everything around him. He emitted a powerful Taoist rhyme, causing the flowers to bloom and wither, and the plants to wither. It was extremely mysterious. In the void above where no one could see, Yi Liangchen was following behind a sloppy-looking old Taoist. He kept urging him. Old man, no matter what, you must save Ling Xiao this time. He's my big brother. If you don't save him, I won't let you off. Yi Liangchen said to the old Taoist. Bastard, how dare you talk to your master like that? I've told you that Ling Xiao stirred up a hornet's nest. He's now a rare commodity worth hoarding. No one wants to let him go. How do you want me to save him? The old Taoist was so angry that he glared at Yu Yangchen and said helplessly, "I don't care. Old man, you've said it yourself. Your cultivation is so high that sage kings, imperial emperors, and even the supreme emperors can't live as long as you. I'm sure it's easy for you to save Ling Xiao. If you don't save him, I'll kill myself." Yu Yangchen sneered and said shamelessly, "You bastard, you're really a bastard. Let me think about it. You only know how to cause trouble for me." The old Taoist said angrily and helplessly. He could not do anything to Yu Yangchen. Chapter 23-27. The attention of the entire divine world was focused on the Ling Shao mountain. Many experts rushed to the Ling Shao mountain one after another. They all had different thoughts as they waited for Ling Shao to appear. Ling Shao had become the chosen one and was in possession of the wordless heavenly book, a chaos supreme treasure. Some people coveted the wordless heavenly book in his possession, some wanted to kill this chosen one, and some even wanted to replace him. Heaven's chosen one, these 4 words had an irresistible temptation to everyone. After becoming the chosen one and receiving the blessing of the heavenly way, not only would Ling Xiao's cultivation improve by leaps and bounds, but he would also have the opportunity to see the supreme God realm. He would be able to suppress the heavens, sweep across the invincible realm, and lead the human tribe to a new era. What kind of glory would that be? Such temptation was enough to drive countless people crazy. More and more people came to the Ling Shao mountain. It was once a forbidden area, and only saints could step foot in it. Many people had died there, but there were still more people coming to the Ling Shao mountain. Even though most of them believed that Ling Xiao would not be able to escape this time, they still wanted to see Ling Xiao's glory. Rumble. The Ling Shao mountain seemed to have some kind of reaction. Blazing lightning gathered in the sky, and thick lightning intertwined like mountains, emitting an aura that made people's hearts tremble. Dark clouds covered the sky, and the lightning was mighty. Under the ravaging of the thunderbolts, the chaotic laws here became even more chaotic. Dazzling runes rose and intertwined in the void, vaguely forming an austere domain. Is the passageway to the chaotic ancient land about to open? Someone cried out in surprise. Everyone in the soaring sky mountain range raised their heads at the same time. Roar! Above the 9 heavens, there seemed to be an ancient and primitive dragon roar. The lightning that filled the sky exploded at this moment, forming a huge golden dragon that was hundreds of millions of feet long. It had 9 dragon claws, golden dragon scales all over its body, and a pair of eyes that were as dazzling as the divine sun. Its body emitted a vast dragon power. As the dragon's roar resounded through the sky, the space above the golden dragon rumbled and erupted with a vast amount of chaotic light. It was like the gates of heaven had opened, revealing all sorts of mysterious and unfathomable scenes. Immortal flowers of the great Tao emerged from the gate of heaven, exuding a soothing fragrance. Golden lotus flowers bloomed in the air, and a vast and endless sea seemed to appear in the distance. A bright and flawless full moon hung in the sky, surrounded by a mysterious light and fog. 9 resplendent suns instantly illuminated the land of the west. Flowers rained from the sky, golden lotuses sprouted from the earth, the bright moon emerged from the sea, and the 9 suns shone from the heavens. 4 mysterious phenomena appeared at the same time. That ancient and mysterious aura caused everyone to tremble. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. This kind of vision only appears when the great emperor is preaching and enlightening the masses. How could it appear here? A white-haired old sage exclaimed in shock as his entire body trembled. Could it be that Ling Xiao became an emperor in the primal chaos ancient land? This is simply impossible. Becoming an emperor? What a joke! Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the sage-to-be level. Even if he obtained the fortune and became the chosen one, it would be amazing if he could become a saint. Then how can this vision be explained? Perhaps it's caused by the imprint of a great emperor in the primal chaos ancient land? Everyone was amazed by the vision in the sky. They were extremely shocked and puzzled. This vision was too shocking. Although the golden dragon was formed by the law of lightning, it contained an incomparably pure dragon's might. Coupled with the four mysterious visions, it was difficult to imagine what was going on even if the great emperor of ancient times was here. Bang! 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 The sound of footsteps rang out with a strange rhythm. Almost instantly, everyone quieted down. The sound was clearly transmitted into their ears. The footsteps seemed to have some kind of magical power, causing the blood and chi in their bodies to surge and boil with the sound of the footsteps. Only the sages could barely suppress the blood and chi in their bodies. Experts below the sage realm could do nothing about it. When the blood and chi in their bodies boiled to the extreme and was about to explode, the vault of heaven suddenly exploded. Rumble. Endless dazzling light gushed out from the vast gate of heaven. Chaotic mist curled up as heaven and earth shook. A figure stepped out from the gate of heaven and appeared in front of everyone. In an instant, a dragon's roar shook the heavens. Divine light bloomed, runes rose, and the law of great Tao trembled at the same time as if welcoming their emperor. The vision between heaven and earth reached its peak in an instant. It's Ling Xiao. Someone shouted. Everyone's eyes fell on the figure at the same time. In the chaotic mist, Ling Xiao wore a white robe. His figure was slender and handsome, and his body emitted immortal light. Faintly, there seemed to be runes gathering and emitting immortal light. His face looked very calm, and there was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. Especially his eyes, they were clear, deep, experienced, and wise, as if they contained a vast starry sky, and people couldn't help but be attracted to them. Ling Xiao exuded an ethereal and otherworldly temperament. Although no one could see his cultivation, no one dared to underestimate him at this moment. The heaven's chosen one was born. It's him, Jean Sei's eyes flashed, and even her eyes brightened. Young master. Shui Wei murmured. Her body trembled slightly, and her eyes were filled with both excitement and worry. Ling Xiao's appearance immediately tugged at the heartstrings of countless people, and everyone's attention fell on him at this moment. You were all waiting for me. I never thought that I, Ling Xiao, would have such great prestige. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His gaze swept across the people in the Ling Xiao mountain range, and his voice was extremely calm. Everyone fell silent in an instant. It was as if Ling Xiao's appearance was too shocking, and too much attention was paid to him. They were all stunned by Ling Xiao's peerless demeanor, and for a moment, they forgot to speak. Ling Xiao, do you know your crime? At this moment, a cold voice rang out in the void. Two incomparably powerful figures instantly stood out, and a vast saint aura rose, instantly locking onto Ling Xiao. One of them was an old man with white hair and a ruddy face. He was the supreme elder of the 9 imperial obelisk, Huang Tai. The other was a middle-aged man in a purple robe. His expression was dignified without being angry, and he exuded an extremely powerful aura. He stood in the void, as if he was holding up the heavens and earth. His body contained an extremely violent energy. Chapter 23-28. The 9 Heavenly Kings of the Chinese, Hua Qiu. Someone exclaimed as he recognized the purple-robed middle-aged man. There were a total of 9 heavenly kings under the patriarch of the Chinese. They were in charge of the war against the outside world. Every one of them was powerful, and the weakest of them was a saint. Their strength was unfathomable, and their hands were stained with the blood of countless creatures. The 9 heavenly kings of the Chinese were even more famous than the patriarch of the Chinese. They were peerless, ferocious people who could stop children from crying at night. It was said that 1,000,000 years ago, the 9 heavenly kings had made great contributions in the war. They had devoured the blood essence of many Pangu experts, making their cultivation even more unfathomable. Everyone showed a hint of fear in their eyes. The Chinese had even sent out the 9 heavenly kings. Since the 9 heavenly kings had already appeared, the other 8 heavenly kings must have arrived as well. The Chinese were really determined to get Ling Xiao this time. The gazes of the other immortal Holy Lands experts changed as they chose to continue watching. The Chinese and the 9 imperial gates hated Ling Xiao the most. With them as the vanguard, they could see Ling Xiao's strength. Speaking of which, they were extremely afraid of the Chosen One. The Chinese and the 9 imperial gates have joined forces. It seems like Ling Xiao has really angered them by killing Hua Ziyang and Tianzi. Someone said softly, his eyes full of emotion. Hua Ziyang and Tianzi were peerless sky prides, especially Tianzi, who was the son of the Heaven Emperor. Everyone thought that he was the most likely person to become the Chosen One. However, they did not expect Tianzi to die in Ling Xiao's hands. When the news spread to the divine world, it shocked the entire divine world. One could imagine how angry the 9 imperial gates would be. Ling Xiao didn't just kill Hua Ziyang and Tianzi. He also killed many saint sons and sky prides from other saint lands. Those guys are really patient. Let's wait and see. I really want to see how different Ling Xiao is from the Chosen One. Can he deal with today's crisis? Everyone discussed softly, observing Ling Xiao's reaction. Sin. What sin have I committed? Who are you? Ling Xiao glanced at Hua Qiu indifferently. His expression was still calm, without the slightest hint of anger. Ling Xiao, this is the 9 heavenly kings of the Chinese, Lord Hua Qiu. You're about to die and you still don't know how to repent? Today, I will tell you what crime you have committed. Huang Tai sneered. His eyes were sharp and filled with murderous intent as he glared at Ling Xiao. You have committed 4 major sins. The Son of Heaven is the son of the Celestial Emperor and the hope of the human race. Without the Celestial Emperor, there would be no era of the human race, no prosperity of the human race. However, you disregarded His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor and used despicable means to kill His Highness the Heavenly Emperor. You have committed a grave sin. You are a human, but you colluded with the Devil Clan, the Monster Clan, and other alien clans. You killed so many heavenly talents of the human clan. They were the future hope of the human clan. You killed them, you destroyed the foundation of the human clan. That is the second sin. You possess the wordless heavenly scripture, a supreme treasure of the chaos, but for your own selfish interests, you want to forcibly take it for yourself. Instead of thinking about how to fight against the devil race, you repeatedly rely on this treasure to bully your own kind. If you had imparted the myriad heaven's secret arts in the wordless heavenly book to the human race, would we have been bullied by the devil race? You're selfish and you're guilty of 1 more crime. That's 3 crimes. We once sent people to the lower realm to look for the wordless heavenly book. We wanted to bring you to the divine realm and train you carefully. However, in order to monopolize the wordless heavenly book, you killed all the people we sent to the lower realm and entered the divine realm under an assumed name. You stirred up a storm and plotted against the human clan. I think you have already surrendered to the devil race and become a remnant of the devil race. You deserve to die. That is the 4th sin. Ling Xiao, you are unpardonable for these 4 sins. Everyone has the right to punish you. Why aren't you kneeling down and admitting your guilt? Huang Tai's voice resounded throughout the entire Ling Xiao mountain range. Every word was sonorous and filled with righteousness. It was as if a saint was reprimanding an evil demon. Huang Tai's words almost described Ling Xiao as an unpardonable person. There was a strange rhythm in his voice that made everyone tremble. They looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of hatred. 4 sins. TSK. Elder Huang Tai, I didn't expect you to use the law of obedience. Even I almost believe that I am an unpardonable person. Ling Xiao said as he looked at Elder Huang Tai with a faint smile. Ling Xiao's voice resonated with the laws of the great Tao in the surroundings, breaking Huang Tai's law of obedience in an instant. Everyone's eyes regained their clarity. The law of obedience was a saint's ability to control the great Tao law. Therefore, Huang Tai's words affected almost all the experts below the saint realm. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao to resolve it so easily. Ling Xiao, since you know that you are unpardonable, why don't you kneel down and accept your death? A despicable and shameless person like you doesn't deserve to be the heaven's chosen child. Huang Tai scolded sternly. Whether I deserve to be the heaven's chosen child or not, do I need you to bark here? Cut the crap. Old dog, if you want to kill me, just do it. Why do you have to find such a high-sounding excuse? You are too hypocritical. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He was not angered by Huang Tai's accusation. His expression was still calm. Although Ling Xiao was talking to Huang Tai, he had already quickly scanned through everyone in the Ling Xiao mountain range. Almost all the saints and great saints from the various immortal saint lands and monarch clans had come. However, there were no saint kings. Ling Xiao faintly felt that there was an extremely dangerous aura in the surrounding void. He was afraid that those high and mighty saint kings would not be able to sit still this time. At this moment, they were all hiding in the void, ready to launch a thunderous attack at any time. Ling Xiao looked relaxed on the surface, but he was secretly on guard, looking for an opportunity to escape. He knew that if he wanted to escape, he would have to go through a fierce battle. How dare you? Ling Xiao, how dare you disrespect Elder Huang Tai? Do you really think that Elder Huang Tai won't dare to kill you? An arrogant young man in a green robe sneered beside Huang Tai. His expression was incomparably arrogant, as if he was high and mighty. He was Huang Tai's disciple. Although he did not participate in the Heaven's Chosen Convention, he had already reached the half-saint realm. He was quite famous in the 9 imperial gates. Noisy. Ling Xiao frowned. His sharp eyes glanced at the green-robed young man and snorted coldly. Rumble. Ling Xiao's voice seemed to contain a mysterious power. In an instant, the surrounding Zhou Tian rumbled. Invisible and intangible great Tao laws exploded like a sudden clap of thunder, enveloping the green-robed young man with a loud rumble. Not good. Huang Tai's expression changed. His saint aura rose around him as he struck out a palm. He wanted to disperse the great Tao laws around him and save the green-robed young man. He could feel the terror of the great Tao laws. It was not something that the green-robed young man could withstand. Puff. However, the void suddenly shook as Huang Tai's palm hit nothing but air. The chaotic laws of the great Tao instantly engulfed the green-robed young man's entire body, causing him to reveal a look of disbelief and horror. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but before he could say anything, his entire body exploded. Blood mist filled the air as the void shook. Chapter 23-29. No one had expected Ling Xiao to attack in such a domineering manner. The group of experts surrounded Ling Xiao, overflowing with murderous intent. The young man was Huang Tai's true disciple, but he was killed by Ling Xiao just like that. Everyone was shocked by Ling Xiao's terrifying strength and his audacity. Was he really not afraid of the 9 imperial gates and the Chinese? Ling Xiao, you're courting death. Huang Tai's face instantly darkened, his eyes filled with cold murderous intent. The young man in green was his true disciple with amazing talent. He had a chance to become a saint after a few years of training, but he died in Ling Xiao's hands just like that. Huang Tai didn't even have the chance to save him. Boom! Purple thunderbolts rose around Huang Tai's body as his saint's aura spread out, emitting an extremely dangerous aura. It instantly locked onto Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao killed the young man in green with a single sentence, which made Huang Tai both shocked and furious. He vaguely guessed that Ling Xiao had already become a saint. He knew his mission, and the 9 heavenly kings beside him also did the same. They were all here to test Ling Xiao's true cultivation and combat strength. As for how to deal with Ling Xiao, those big shots would take care of it. He knew that even if Ling Xiao's combat strength was extraordinary, if he couldn't defeat him, he would definitely be able to capture Ling Xiao with the help of the 9 heavens king. Huang Tai, you once forced me to do something in the War God Temple. How domineering and majestic was that? Today, I'll take your life as the price for what you did back then. Ling Xiao said indifferently, his eyes revealing a trace of blazing light. Boom! He threw a punch at Huang Tai, taking the initiative to attack. Ling Xiao threw a punch, and the void seemed to explode. Blazing divine light surged, and the surrounding great Tao shook at the same time, pressuring Huang Tai at the same time. Ling Xiao, so what if you've become a saint? No one can save you today. Huang Tai roared, and the aura around him rose to the extreme. The sky full of thunderbolts gathered in his palm, instantly turning into a huge thunderbolt palm print, pressing down on Ling Xiao. Huang Tai had already cultivated the Thunder Emperor technique to the consummate level. A world of lightning emerged from the center of his palm. Vaguely, even the true body of the Thunder Emperor appeared in the sky, containing an incomparably overbearing killing intent. Crack! The void trembled violently. Ling Xiao's fist came from the sky and collided with the lightning in the sky in an instant. The lightning that filled the sky suddenly exploded into a resplendent rain of light. It was actually unable to withstand the power of Ling Xiao's punch. The surrounding sky shook violently, and the purple palm print was also shattered by Ling Xiao's punch. What? Huang Tai's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He felt a force that made his scalp tingle. His strength was so weak in front of Ling Xiao's punch. Bang! One of Huang Tai's arms exploded into a bloody mist in the void. He staggered back and spat out a mouthful of blood. The divine shield around him shattered in an instant. Ling Xiao defeated Elder Huang Tai with a single punch. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked as well. All of them were tongue-tied, unable to believe what they were seeing. Huang Tai was the supreme elder of the 9-layered imperial obelisk. Although his talent was ordinary, he was already an expert in the great perfection of the saint realm. They did not expect Huang Tai to be so weak in front of Ling Xiao. Could it be that Ling Xiao has already proven his Tao and become a saint? But even if he has proven his Tao and become a saint, how can he have such terrifying combat strength? Is the chosen one so heaven-defying? Everyone's heart was filled with doubts. Old dog, I'll send you on your way. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp. He punched out like a dragon, causing his flesh and blood to tremble slightly. He released strands of powerful chaotic energy, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. It was as if the space was unable to withstand this power, causing cracks to appear in space. Ling Xiao's body was filled with boundless energy. After his physical body became a saint, he felt that the restraints of heaven and earth on him had disappeared. His punch could penetrate the 9 heavens and shatter the 10 lands. Its power was unparalleled. Ninth Heavenly King, save me. Huang Tai's eyes were filled with terror. He unleashed his strongest power to resist the attack and even took out a powerful saint treasure. At the same time, he begged Hua Qiu for help. His scalp was numb, and his body was trembling. Ling Xiao's punch made him feel the threat of death. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. At this moment, he no longer cared about his dignity as a saint. He only wanted to live. Ling Xiao's punch was too terrifying. Ling Xiao, don't be presumptuous. A cold light flashed in Hua Qiu's eyes. In an instant, he leaped into the sky. Divine light blazed around him, and an immortal fluctuation filled the air. It was as if nothing could invade him. He threw a punch at Ling Xiao. The fist print swept across the void like a dazzling sun. It was mighty and could suppress everything. This was the immortal fist technique of the Hua tribe. Hua Qiu also saw that Ling Xiao's strength was strange, so he did not hold back at all. Huang Tai took out a cauldron-shaped treasure that emitted a powerful light. It was Huang Tai's natal treasure that he had refined with his blood. At this moment, he was forced to take it out without hesitation because he was forced to the extreme by Ling Xiao. Boom! Ling Xiao's punch landed on the cauldron-shaped treasure, and there was a muffled sound. Rays of light and runes were annihilated at the same time. The cauldron-shaped treasure seemed to have withstood some kind of incomparably terrifying force. Cracks appeared on it, and then it exploded. With his natal artifact destroyed, Huang Tai also suffered a great backlash. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura was weak. His eyes were filled with shock and anger. It seemed like he was about to die under Ling Xiao's punch. Hua Qiu from the 9th heavens charged over. Bang! The two fists collided, and the void rumbled. The vast chaotic light suddenly exploded, and an incomparably terrifying wave swept out in all directions. Ling Xiao's body did not move, but Hua Qiu was sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. How can your physical body be so strong? You're a saint with a physical body. Hua Qiu's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. His arm was trembling violently. On the surface, it looked fine, but in fact, the power of Ling Xiao's punch had already entered his arm. It was extremely domineering and destroyed the blood vessels and meridians on his arm. He could no longer lift his arm. Hua Qiu's blood and qi surged as if it was about to burn. The immortal fist technique was so weak in front of Ling Xiao's punch. Chapter 2330. Sanctification of the Physical Body. These 4 words seemed to have some kind of magical power, causing everyone in the Ling Xiao mountain range to tremble. Everyone's eyes fell on Ling Xiao at the same time. Sanctification of the physical body? How many years has it been since someone sanctified their physical body? This is the most difficult path, but Ling Xiao actually did it. An old sage said, his body trembling. His turbid eyes were filled with excitement. I remember now. When Ling Xiao appeared, there was a strange phenomenon in the sky. That was the legendary phenomenon of sanctification of the physical body. Sanctification of the physical body is when one's physical body breaks through the limits of heaven and earth, breaking the shackles of the great Tao, and forming a small world of its own. Once it breaks through, it will definitely cause a shocking phenomenon. This is sanctification of the physical body. The human race's physical body is already weak. This path is too difficult. If Ling Xiao really sanctified his physical body, his talent is indeed heaven-defying. He is worthy of being the chosen one. Although sanctification of the physical body is difficult, his combat strength is extraordinary. He is invincible in the same realm. Although Elder Huang Tai and the 9 heavenly kings are at the sage realm great perfection, I'm afraid they are no match for Ling Xiao. Everyone discussed softly. This news was too shocking. They felt as though they had seen a living legend. Sanctification of the physical body represented infinite possibilities. The 9 heavenly kings of the Chinese race? That's all there is to it. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his expression extremely calm. Whoosh! He did not stop. Light flashed under his feet, and his entire body was like an invisible bolt of lightning. He appeared behind Hua Qiu in an instant and threw a punch at Hua Qiu. After becoming a saint, Ling Xiao's understanding of the secret skills in the wordless heavenly book had reached a new level. For example, he had cultivated the secret skill of teleportation to the great perfection realm. He could teleport as he wished. Although he had not reached the level of teleportation, he could still teleport within a macro world. Hua Qiu did not expect Ling Xiao's speed to be so strange. When he felt the danger, Ling Xiao's punch was already very close to him. Long Outyen, how dare you challenge the dignity of the Chinese race? You must die. Hua Qiu's eyes were filled with killing intent. His entire body exploded in the void, turning into a dazzling rain of light. He dodged Ling Xiao's fatal punch and then reformed at the side. Whoosh! A golden battle spear appeared in Hua Qiu's hand, exuding an ancient aura. The tip of the spear was extremely sharp, as if it could pierce through everything. He held the spear horizontally in his palm and pierced towards Ling Xiao. Clang! Ling Xiao's palm landed on the golden spear. The golden spear emitted a crisp sound. Sparks flew in all directions, but it didn't shatter. Ling Xiao's kick seemed to be able to crush a mountain. It contained an incomparably violent energy fluctuation. Hua Qiu hurriedly raised his golden battle spear to block. With a muffled sound, the golden spear actually bent. Unparalleled divine power erupted. Hua Qiu's arms began to tremble. The blood vessels on his arms directly exploded. Blood mist filled the air. His whole body seemed to have been struck by lightning. Blood spurted out from his mouth. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, borrowed the recoil force of the golden battle spear and charged towards Huang Tai. Although Hua Qiu and Huang Tai had joined forces, they had no chance to resist Ling Xiao's terrifying combat strength. They were suppressed and in danger. They could lose their lives at any time. Ling Xiao, how dare you? Huang Tai was scared out of his wits. His eyes were filled with a fierce look. Even his origin artifact had been destroyed by Ling Xiao, so he knew that he was no match for Ling Xiao. Now that he was heavily injured, there was no way for him to resist. Thus, he shouted loudly and fled into the distance without even thinking. Why wouldn't I dare? You can come and kill me, but I'm not allowed to kill you. What a joke! Ling Xiao sneered. He pointed his finger in the air and pierced towards Huang Tai's glabella. The sharp finger radiance could penetrate everything. It was extremely terrifying. Stop! At this moment, an ancient and cold voice came from behind Ling Xiao. The sound of the air breaking was extremely fast. A huge palm print fell from the sky and slammed towards his head. It contained an unfathomable sage aura. It was a great sage who had attacked. The great sage's attack was extremely fierce. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao as soon as he attacked. Although he was trying to save Huang Tai, he obviously had sinister intentions. Freeze! Ling Xiao looked indifferent as if he wasn't surprised at all. He didn't even turn his head. He just spat out a simple word from his mouth. Buzz! Rays of dazzling light gathered behind Ling Xiao, forming an ancient rune that contained a mysterious aura of vicissitudes. It was as if the great Tao law in the surroundings was vibrating at the same time. The rune was dazzling. In an instant, it collided with the huge palm print. The vast power of time erupted and froze the palm print in the void. Although the palm print was only frozen for a breath's time, it was enough to do a lot of things. Puff! Blood splattered. Huang Tai's glabella was pierced by Ling Xiao's finger. The terrifying power exploded in Huang Tai's head and spread throughout his body at the same time. Huang Tai turned into a bloody mist. Even his primordial spirit couldn't escape. It was shattered by Ling Xiao's finger. The majestic primordial spirit fragments were completely devoured by Ling Xiao using the sky-devouring secret skill. The Grand Elder of the Ninefold Imperial Obelisk died in Ling Xiao's hands. Boom! The rune behind him shattered. The mighty palm print pressed down. Ling Xiao turned around calmly and threw out a punch, colliding with the palm print. Divine light exploded, and heaven and earth shook. The palm print was directly shattered by Ling Xiao, and Ling Xiao was also sent flying, landing far away. Who are you? Ling Xiao stared at the figure that appeared in the void and said coldly. It was a middle-aged man in a black python robe. He looked dignified and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. At this moment, his expression was extremely ugly as he stared at Ling Xiao. The saint aura around him was vast and unfathomable. He was even stronger than Huang Tai and Hua Qiu. He was an expert of the great saint realm. You dare to kill Huang Tai? Ling Xiao, the emperor wanted to spare your life. Now, it seems like you really deserve to die. The middle-aged man in the python robe said coldly. His voice was like thunder, domineering and majestic. The Eastern Sky Sage of the Nine Imperial Obelisk? Hiss, I didn't expect him to come out to kill Ling Xiao. Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with reverence. Chapter 23:31. The Eastern Heaven Great Sage stepped on the void, exuding a vast sage aura, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. A mysterious light lingered around him, making the black python on his body seem to come alive, exuding a peerless ferocious aura. His gaze was incomparably cold, filled with undisguised murderous intent. It landed on Ling Xiao as if he wanted to cut Ling Xiao into 1,000 pieces. He was the strongest person sent by the Ninefold Imperial Obelisk. He had been watching the battle between Huang Tai, Hua Qiu, and Ling Xiao. Seeing that Ling Xiao's combat strength was invincible and that Huang Tai and Hua Qiu had no power to resist, he knew something was wrong. He wanted to stop Ling Xiao, but it was too late. The fact that Huang Tai died right in front of him was a great humiliation to him. The Eastern Heaven Great Sage of the Ninefold Imperial Obelisk? You're really impressive. Ling Xiao sneered. The surrounding people's discussion also let him know the identity of the middle-aged man in the python robe in front of him. The Eastern Heaven Great Sage's angry attack just now contained an earth-shattering power. Ling Xiao hastily faced the attack, but he was unexpectedly sent flying, which aroused a strong fighting spirit in his heart. Ling Xiao's sage body gave him invincible combat strength. Even Huang Tai, who was in the sage realm great perfection, was killed by Ling Xiao in one blow. Now, facing the stronger Eastern Heaven Great Sage, Ling Xiao was even more fearless. Ling Xiao, how dare you hurt my ninth brother? Who gave you such courage? At the same time, an extremely overbearing voice resounded in the void, causing the surrounding sky to tremble. Whoosh! 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 7 incomparably powerful figures came across the sky, containing an earth-shattering aura as if they could devour the sun and the moon. Each of them exuded an extremely cold aura, appearing in the sky above the Ling Xiao mountain range. Second brother, third brother. Eighth brother, you're here. Hua Qiu's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. The 7 heavenly kings of the Hua clan. Hiss. Except for the great heavenly king, 8 of the 9 heavenly kings came. It seems that the Hua clan is really determined to get Ling Xiao. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Their eyes were filled with incomparable reverence. Those 7 figures were the 7 heavenly kings of the Hua clan. Moreover, each of them had a high cultivation base. All of them were great Saint Realm powerhouses. Their eyes were filled with killing intent, and their killing intent was monstrous. Ninth brother, you're too useless. You were actually injured to such an extent by a mere Ling Xiao. Scram to the side and watch how your brothers will skin him alive to avenge you. Among the 7 heavenly kings, the second heavenly king, who was the leader, wore a purple robe. His skin was fair and clean, and he looked extremely tall. However, he had an extremely feminine aura. His eyes were like a poisonous snake, which made people shudder when they looked at him. Second brother, this Ling Xiao cannot be underestimated. Not only is his fleshly body sanctified, but he also has the wordless heavenly book. Be careful. Hua Qiu's face was a little ugly. He cupped his hands at the second heavenly king and then went to the side to heal his wounds. He also breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. If it weren't for the East Heaven Great Sage and the 7 heavenly kings who came at the same time, he was afraid that he would end up like Huang Tai and die in the hands of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao gave him too much pressure. That kind of domineering and invincible fist intent still made him feel palpitations when he thought about it. The 7 heavenly kings and the East Heaven Great Sage's eyes fell on Ling Xiao at the same time at this moment. Being stared at by 8 great saint powerhouses, that kind of cold and murderous gaze was like a mountain that contained the power to make people's heart tremble. If it was an ordinary person, his mind would have already collapsed from fear. Ling Xiao, how do you want to die? The second heavenly king stared at Ling Xiao and said indifferently. The 5 heavenly sages of the 9 imperial gates, the 9 heavenly kings of the Hua clan. Do you think you can defeat me with just a few of you? Ling Xiao sneered. His expression was incomparably calm, without the slightest fear. The calmer he was on the surface, the more intense the murderous intent in his heart was. Ling Xiao had already decided to kill here. He wanted to kill until the sky fell and the earth cracked. He wanted to kill until the blood flowed. He wanted to kill until the world changed. He understood how terrifying those people hiding in the dark were. Although the strength of these people in front of him was very strong, they were still only slightly stronger cannon fodder. If he couldn't even deal with these people in front of him, there was no need to talk about fighting with those people behind them. You have a sharp tongue. Ling Xiao, do you think that you can defeat everything just because your body is at the Sage Realm? The gap between the Sage Realm and the Great Sage Realm isn't something you can understand at all. Today, you are the enemy of the whole world. You have become the enemy of our human clan. No one can save you. Do you think you can escape with your own strength? You are really reckless. The East Heaven Great Sage sneered and said. The murderous intent in his eyes was blazing. He could feel Ling Xiao's strength. He said these words just to oppress people with his power and create psychological pressure on Ling Xiao. Then, he would look for an opportunity to seek a fatal blow. Although he knew that Ling Xiao would undoubtedly die today, if he could capture Ling Xiao first, the 9 Imperial Obelisk might be able to monopolize Ling Xiao's secrets and good fortune. Although the 7 heavenly kings were standing together with him, once Ling Xiao was defeated, they would immediately turn against each other. The reason why those almighty experts hid behind the scenes and didn't personally take action was that they had to restrain each other. After all, they each had their own ulterior motives. Everyone coveted Ling Xiao's title as the Chosen One and the wordless heavenly book, the most chaotic treasure. 8 great sages. Can young master stop them? Shui Wei's eyes revealed a trace of worry. Her white jade-like fingers also unconsciously clenched. 8 great sages. They should not be his opponents, right? Jean Sei whispered to herself. She didn't know why, but she was full of confidence in Ling Xiao. She felt that the 8 great sages in front of her might not be Ling Xiao's opponents. Ling Xiao's potential was endless. Perhaps only those peerless almighties hidden behind him could stimulate Ling Xiao's true combat strength. Everyone felt a little nervous. They couldn't help but stare at the 8 great sages and Ling Xiao. They felt that the atmosphere had become incomparably oppressive. A storm was coming. Ha ha ha. 8 great sages. Are they very strong? It's a pity that the 5 heavens great sages and the 9 heavenly kings are not all here. Otherwise, I will kill them all. You brothers can also reunite in the underworld, right? All of you come together. Why should I, Ling Xiao, be afraid? Ling Xiao looked up to the sky and laughed. His whole body exuded a wild and unruly temperament. His eyes were full of arrogance and cold-killing intent as he stared at the 8 great sages in front of him. Chapter 23:32. Is this Ling Xiao crazy? He actually wants the 8 great sages to attack together. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, everyone couldn't help but be shocked. The 5 heavens great sage and the 9 heavenly kings are famous. If these 8 great sages attack together, I'm afraid they can even fight against the legendary Saint King. Ling Xiao is too arrogant. I think this Ling Xiao is too arrogant. He's simply courting death by provoking the 8 great sages. That's not necessarily true. Have you forgotten that he has the wordless heavenly book on him? Everyone discussed in a low voice. The 8 great sages couldn't help but have a cold look in their eyes. The murderous intent around them suddenly erupted. Ling Xiao's words were simply a provocation. He didn't put them in his eyes at all. Ling Xiao, I will break every bone in your body and grind your bones to ashes. The Eastern Heaven Great Sage's eyes were overflowing with murderous intent. His body exuded an incomparably powerful aura, and he took the lead to attack Ling Xiao. Boom! He struck out with his palm. Vast sage aura gathered, and a huge palm print appeared in the sky. It was like a mountain range that suddenly pressed down on Ling Xiao. Kill! It's fine if this Ling Xiao is courting death, but the wordless heavenly book on him can't fall into the hands of the 9 imperial gates. The 2nd heavenly king's eyes were cold as he whispered to the few people around him. Rumble! The 7 of them also erupted with their strongest combat strength and attacked Ling Xiao at the same time. It had to be said that the combat strength of a great sage was far beyond that of a saint. Their control of the laws of heaven and earth had already reached a level where they could do as they pleased. The 7 heavenly kings all cultivated the great Tao of metal. They took out their golden spears and formed a powerful battle formation. The spear light swept across the void like golden dragons, and simultaneously attacked Ling Xiao's vital points. Moreover, the vast great Tao law erupted, and runes rose. Between the 7 golden spears, it seemed to form a mysterious small world. The flowers, trees, the sun, the moon, and the stars were all transformed by the great Tao of metal. They interweaved into an inescapable net. Roar! Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a monstrous battle intent. An ancient and terrifying dragon roar instantly erupted from his mouth. Ancestral Dragon's Roar. The supreme sound attack technique of the ancestral dragon's secret technique was derived from the first dragon roar of the primeval ancestral dragon when it split the world apart. It contained the vast energy of the laws from when the world was first created, and it struck directly at the soul with peerless might. When Ling Xiao had yet to become a sage, the roar of the ancestral dragon had already erupted with peerless divine power. Now that his physical body had become a sage, he used the roar of the ancestral dragon with the body of the ancestral dragon. The terrifying sound waves gushed directly towards the 8 great sages. Just the shock waves alone were enough to make the people in the Firmament Mountain range tremble and cough up blood. Their faces were extremely pale, and their eyes were filled with shock. Even the aftermath of the roar of the ancestral dragon caused some of the weaker half-saints to explode in the void. They were completely annihilated. This obviously showed how terrifying the pressure one would have to endure when facing the ancestral dragon's roar head-on. Boom! After Ling Xiao unleashed the roar of the ancestral dragon, the chaotic light gushed out from his body. His blood rose like a sea of blood, and a mysterious chanting sound came from his body. It was as if hundreds of millions of mysterious gods were worshipping him at the same time, erupting with the supreme power that could split the world apart. This was the first time Ling Xiao had unleashed his strongest power after his physical body had become a sage. He simply threw a punch towards the Eastern Sky Sage. The terrifying sound waves of the roar of the ancestral dragon exploded. The powerful spiritual power made the Eastern Sky Sage and the 7 heavenly kings tremble. They felt as if a primordial ancestral dragon was flying out from the chaos to devour their primordial spirits. Although they knew that this was only an illusion in the sound waves, and their souls were incomparably powerful and would not be damaged, they were still affected to a certain extent, and their movements became a little slower. Crack! But this slight delay was enough for Ling Xiao to reach the palm print in the void first. His simple punch blasted the palm print in the void, and then it was instantly smashed into powder. Ling Xiao came from the sky and used a secret teleportation technique. He quickly closed the distance between him and the Eastern Sky Sage, and directly blasted a punch towards the Eastern Sky Sage. After Ling Xiao's physical body was sanctified, he possessed invincible physical strength. Based on physical strength alone, not to mention a mere supreme sage, even a true sage ruler might not necessarily be as strong as Ling Xiao's physical body. The physical body had broken the shackles of heaven and earth, and formed a small world of its own. Every movement contained the power of heaven and earth. This was a power that truly belonged to oneself, and not borrowed from the power of heaven and earth. This was a qualitative difference. Get lost. The Eastern Sky Sage's face was gloomy. He pushed his palms across the sky, and blazing runes rose, turning into immemorial mountains one after another, constantly suppressing Ling Xiao. This was the power of the Great Way of Earth. The Eastern Sky Sage used the Great Way of Earth to change thousands of times at will. Those mountains were no different from real mountains, and contained extremely terrifying power. Boom! 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 Ling Xiao's punch was like a dragon, and all the mountains formed by the Great Way of Earth exploded. Moreover, he rapidly closed the distance between him and the Eastern Sky Sage. The Eastern Sky Sage had already seen Ling Xiao's ice-cold eyes, which made his heart beat violently, and his face became incomparably unsightly. How can the physical body of a sage be so strong? The Eastern Sky Sage found it hard to imagine how Ling Xiao could have such terrifying battle strength. After all, it had been a long time since the divine world had a physical body of a sage. The Eastern Sky Sage had only seen it in ancient books, and had never really fought with a physical body of a sage. In this exchange, he immediately discovered the terror of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, don't be arrogant. At the same time, the 7 heavenly kings also rushed towards Ling Xiao with golden battle spears in their hands. The spear light crisscrossed the heaven and earth, and emitted blazing golden light. It was like a smoke signal that pierced through the 9 heavens, and shrouded Ling Xiao in all directions. Clang! Ling Xiao blasted out a punch, and after it collided with the golden battle spear, the sound of metal clashing erupted. The spear light shattered, but it turned into an even more chaotic power, and rushed towards Ling Xiao's body. Bang! 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 Ling Xiao's speed was extremely fast, and he constantly collided with the golden battle spear. However, even though his fist momentum was monstrous and his physical body was invincible, the golden battle spear was a top-grade holy treasure. In addition, the 7 heavenly kings' battle strength was superb, and there was a tendency to trap Ling Xiao to death. Kill! The Eastern Heaven Great Sage's eyes revealed a trace of ice-cold killing intention. He waved his sleeve, and thousands of mysterious yellow needles, which were as thin as the hair of an ox, flew out from his sleeve in an instant. It was unknown whether there were thousands or tens of thousands of these needles, and they covered Ling Xiao's entire body. Not good. Are those mysterious yellow needles? Shui Wei could not help but exclaim, and her face was slightly pale. The mysterious yellow needles were a set of top-grade holy treasures, which were refined from the mysterious yellow mother Qi. Each strike could erupt with power comparable to that of a sage. However, the mysterious yellow needles were shapeless and intangible, and they were best at breaking people's acupoints and slashing people's primordial spirit. They were extremely insidious treasures, and they were well known in the divine world. Now that Ling Xiao was trapped by the golden battle spear, the space for him to dodge was extremely small, and the power of the mysterious yellow needles could be exerted to the extreme. Chapter 23:33. The 7 golden spears were like pillars of heaven, sealing Ling Xiao's surroundings. They were intertwined with blazing golden light, and runes rose, forming a deadly domain. The 7 heavenly kings saw that Ling Xiao was elusive and had the extreme speed to move the heavens, so they directly laid down the strongest 7 killing spear formation, trapping Ling Xiao in the big formation. The Eastern Sky Sage was even more insidious. He directly took out a set of mysterious yellow needles, aiming directly at Ling Xiao's vital points. Under the joint efforts of the 8 great sages, they laid down an inescapable net, wanting to kill Ling Xiao completely. Boom! Ling Xiao's body suddenly erupted with a bright golden storm. His fist was like a dragon, blasting out tens of thousands of fist prints in an instant, shattering the surrounding spearlight, sweeping out a vacuum domain. At the same time, a 7-colored glow shot out from Ling Xiao's eyes. It turned into a resplendent and vast light, shooting off in all directions with a boom. It was like a sun had exploded, containing the power of yin and yang and 5 elements, as if it could instantly decompose and destroy everything. 7-colored heavenly light. The supreme magical power formed by the fusion of the 5 elements and the yin and yang secret techniques shone brilliantly at this moment. Ding ding dang dang. When the invisible mysterious yellow needles flew to Ling Xiao's side, they collided with the 7-colored heavenly light in an instant, as if they were blocked by a layer of 5 elements barrier, bursting out a crisp sound. Without exception, they were all blocked by the 7-colored heavenly light. Boom! The 7-colored heavenly light surged like surging waves, as if heaven and earth were falling apart, enveloping the mysterious yellow needles. The power of yin and yang and 5 elements flowed, beginning to decompose the power of the mysterious yellow needles. The mysterious yellow needles trembled violently, and the runes began to collapse. The mysterious yellow needles were about to be decomposed into the most original mysterious yellow source Qi. Damn it! The Eastern Sky Sage's face changed, and his expression was incomparably ugly. He wanted to take back all the mysterious yellow needles. Since you have taken them out, leave them all. Ling Xiao's cold voice rang out. In an instant, an extremely terrifying devouring power erupted around him. An ancient world vaguely appeared behind him. The universe was created, and the world was destroyed. It could devour everything. This was the sky-devouring sacred world. It was a scene that Ling Xiao had created after he cultivated the sky-devouring secret skill to perfection. As soon as the heaven-devouring secret technique was used, the rainbow-colored heavenly light seemed to have received some kind of blessing. Many of the universe needles that were enveloped in it were quickly disintegrated and turned into universe origin chi, which was directly swallowed by Ling Xiao. In the end, most of the mysterious yellow needles were swallowed by Ling Xiao. Only a small part was taken back by the Eastern Sky Great Sage, but it was also severely damaged. "Bastard, I'll kill you." The murderous intent in the eyes of the Eastern Sky Great Sage seemed to have materialized. He roared at Ling Xiao, his heart bleeding. The mysterious yellow needle was one of the most important supreme holy treasures in his possession. It was even regarded as the foundation of his enlightenment. It was refined from the mysterious yellow mother chi that he obtained with great difficulty. He originally planned to refine it painstakingly for another 100 years. When his cultivation reached the peak of the great sage, he could directly refine the mysterious yellow mother chi and prove his Tao as a holy king. But now, it was all taken advantage of by Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body gushed out powerful life essence and blood qi. The mysterious yellow mother qi was the innate origin power, a supreme treasure. At this moment, after being refined by Ling Xiao's physical body began to expand again. Even his primordial spirit, dharma, and heart force had been greatly improved. His whole person seemed to have eaten a big tonic, and he was full of energy. Ha ha ha. Eastern Sky Great Sage, do you still have more mysterious yellow needles? Come, I'll take all of them. Ling Xiao laughed and said. His words made the Eastern Sky Great Sage almost vomit blood. Boom. Ling Xiao used his words to provoke the Eastern Sky Great Sage. At the same time, he drove the 7-colored heavenly light toward the 7 golden spears. At the same time, he used the Supreme Fist Way. His superb physical strength broke out, and he wanted to shatter all the 7 golden spears. The expressions of the 7 heavenly kings changed. Seeing that even the Xianhuang needle had been destroyed by the 7-colored heavenly light, they also had a strong fear of the 7-colored heavenly light. The 7 golden battle spears exploded with blazing golden light, like 7 immemorial divine mountains, pressing down on Ling Xiao. At the same time, the 7 of them went straight up. Each of them broke out a terrifying aura, and each of their moves was aimed at Ling Xiao's vital points. Ling Xiao, go to hell. The Eastern Sky Great Sage was about to be driven mad by Ling Xiao. Under the combination of shock and anger, the cultivation of a great sage erupted with all his strength. Streaks of bright lightning rose up, making him look more and more majestic and mysterious. The black giant python on his body actually crossed the sky in an instant, filled with endless lightning, and attacked Ling Xiao. The black python was covered with ferocious scales. Its huge triangular head was like a mountain, and its eyes were cold and cruel. Its aura was terrifying to the extreme, and it made the Eastern Sky Great Sage's aura begin to soar. It's the Eastern Sky Great Sage's black water mystical snake. This is the immemorial fierce beast that is connected to his life. It is said that it has now reached the Great Sage realm. Under the superposition of the two, the Eastern Sky Great Sage's battle strength is extremely terrifying. It seems that the Eastern Sky Great Sage is going to go all out. Someone recognized the origin of the black python. It was the fierce black water mystical snake. Legend has it that in ancient times, it could fight with the dragon clan. The Eastern Sky Great Sage summoned the Blackwater mystical snake and merged with it. He had the Blackwater mystical snake's power to control wind and thunder, and also its superb defensive power. Boom! The 7-colored heavenly light was dazzling, and Ling Xiao's body burst with extraordinary physical strength, colliding with the 7 golden spears. Fist prints fell one after another, and in the end, the mountains formed by the 7 golden spears were all smashed. At the same time, the Eastern Sky Great Sage merged with the Blackwater mystical snake and attacked Ling Xiao. The huge snake tail swung in the air, and the void exploded as if it was going to shatter at any time. Its speed was extremely fast. Bang! Ling Xiao punched out and collided with the Blackwater mystical snake's tail. Suddenly, there was a muffled sound in the void, and he and the Blackwater mystical snake flew backward at the same time. Blackwater mystical snake. Today, I will skin you, you evil beast, and make you into snake soup. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed fiercely, and he rushed toward the Blackwater mystical snake. He felt that the Blackwater mystical snake's immemorial bloodline was extremely rich, and therefore had unparalleled physical strength and defensive power. Ling Xiao's extremely overbearing punch could not break the Blackwater mystical snake's defense. However, if he could devour the immemorial bloodline of the Blackwater mystical snake, perhaps his physical strength could be improved further. Roar. Chapter 23-34. Boom. The Blackwater mystical snake was wrapped in the power of wind and thunder. It merged with the Eastern Sky Sage and burst out a primitive and ancient power. It suddenly pounced on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could smell the strong smell of blood. Ling Xiao's expression didn't change, but his eyes grew sharper and sharper. He felt a great pressure from the Blackwater mystical snake, which made him want to fight even more. Boom! Ling Xiao punched out, and on his fist radiance, blazing lightning rose. In an instant, the void trembled violently, like a vast whirlpool of lightning that could devour everything. This was the secret skill of heaven's punishment, which contained the essence of the way of thunder and the ultimate destructive power. Even though the Blackwater mystical snake could control wind and thunder, it was still greatly restrained by the secret skill of heaven's punishment. The lightning around the Blackwater mystical snake surged and was swallowed by the whirlpool of lightning, merging into Ling Xiao's body. Bang! 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 Ling Xiao was extremely fast, and his fists seemed to be able to destroy heaven and earth. The sky was filled with the shadows of his fists, constantly colliding with the Blackwater mystical snake, exploding with blazing divine light waves. Ling Xiao had the ultimate physical strength. Now that his physical body was sanctified, he had the supreme power to fight against a supreme saint. The 12 sky skills in the wordless heavenly book was the foundation of Ling Xiao's sanctified physical body. It allowed Ling Xiao to control the supreme power of the 12 sky skills at will. The 7 heavenly kings also rushed forward, and together with the Blackwater mystical snake that the Eastern Sky Sage had transformed into, they started a peerless battle against Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao fought against the 8 of them alone. His fists were mighty, like ancient divine mountains, and like stars in the sky. Chaotic light rose, the void shook, the 5 elements flowed, and yin and yang intertwined. Ling Xiao seemed to be tireless, and the stronger his fighting spirit, the more terrifying his combat strength was. Even with 8 great sages joining forces, they were still unable to suppress Ling Xiao. How can this Ling Xiao be so strong? Even if his physical body is sanctified and he is invincible in the same realm, he can't cross a realm and go against the flow, right? Everyone looked at the scene in front of them with shock. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. According to the legends, the Lingxiao mountain range was the location of the ancient celestial court. It contained an incomparably chaotic power of law. The space was also incomparably firm. It was intertwined with a mysterious power that protected the Lingxiao mountain range. If not for this, given the terrifying battle between Ling Xiao and the 8 great saints, the entire Lingxiao mountain range would have been reduced to dust long ago. Even though they were spectating the battle from the periphery, the terrifying energy fluctuations still shocked the spectators. They could not figure out how Ling Xiao could have such heaven-defying combat strength. Even if it were someone else, it would be impossible for them to have such heaven-defying battle prowess as Ling Xiao. It must be the heaven's chosen child that allowed him to obtain the fortune and blessing of the heavenly Tao. Coupled with the supreme secret technique of the wordless heavenly scripture, that's why he is so monstrous. An old saint slowly said as if he had noticed something. A secret technique from the wordless heavenly book. Legend has it that the wordless heavenly book contains a complete set of 108 secret techniques. The 12 heavenly arts of the 12 immortal holy lands came from the wordless heavenly book. This Ling Xiao is truly lucky. Someone revealed a look of jealousy in his eyes. The wordless heavenly book was very famous in the divine world. 1,000,000 years ago, the wordless heavenly book almost caused a war between the divine world and the devil world. Naturally, everyone knew how mysterious and precious the wordless heavenly book was. Someone revealed a look of greed and passion in his eyes. He could not wait to kill Ling Xiao and snatch the wordless heavenly book away from him. Old man, brother Ling Xiao is so powerful. Even the great saints are no match for him. I told you that only he is worthy of being the heaven's chosen child. Yi Liangchen, who was hiding in the void, said excitedly to the slovenly old man beside him. Powerful? Although the great saints are powerful, they are only used to test him. The old monsters behind him are not people that he can fight against. The slovenly old man snorted coldly. What are you afraid of? Old man, aren't you here to deal with the old monsters behind him? As long as you stop those old monsters, brother Ling Xiao will be able to escape. Yi Liangchen said nonchalantly. You bastard, the slovenly old man clenched his teeth in anger when he saw Yi Liangchen's expression. He wanted to beat the crap out of him. If there were only one or two old monsters behind him, the old man might be able to stop them. However, who knew how many old monsters were there this time? Both the heaven's chosen child and the wordless heavenly book were enough to tempt those old monsters to the point that they were willing to pay any price. Boom! Ling Xiao's body emitted a dazzling rainbow divine light, which contained the power to destroy everything. Once again, he forced the 7 heavenly kings to retreat with the rainbow divine light. At the same time, he quickly approached the Blackwater mystical snake and punched the Blackwater mystical snake's neck. That was the Blackwater mystical snake's weak spot. It was also the softest part of its body. Roar! The Blackwater mystical snake roared angrily. The black snake scales on its body opened up instantly, emitting traces of blood-red light. It spun like a sharp blade, trying to suck Ling Xiao in and cut him into pieces. The Blackwater mystical snake's scales were extremely sturdy. There were ancient runes on them, which were comparable to supreme holy treasures. They could break everything. Even those who had achieved sainthood would find it difficult to withstand them. Facing the sky-covering snake scales that were as sharp as blades, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he suddenly roared, "Freeze!" Boom! The space around them seemed to freeze at that moment. An ethereal power of time burst out and enveloped the Blackwater mystical snake in an instant. At the same time, the space around him vibrated and became grotesque. It was as if billions of Ling Xiao's shadows had appeared and attacked the Blackwater mystical snake at the same time. Secret space-time technique. Ling Xiao controlled both the power of time and space at the same time. It was a huge burden for him. However, because his body had achieved sainthood, he was able to unleash such terrifying power. His body wouldn't collapse immediately. Damn it! The Eastern Sky Sage's face was full of shock and anger. Although the Blackwater mystical snake had only been frozen for a breath's time, it was enough for Ling Xiao to throw out thousands of punches. The terrifying fist print landed on the Blackwater mystical snake's body, and directly hit the vital part below the snake's neck. Even though the Blackwater mystical snake had a layer of sturdy scales on its neck, it still exploded into pieces. Blood splattered everywhere, and its huge triangular head was sent flying away. How terrifying was Ling Xiao's body! Chapter 2335. Hiss! The Blackwater mystical snake let out a miserable shriek. Even the Eastern Sky Sage spat out a mouthful of blood. His life was connected to the Blackwater mystical snakes. Naturally, he would bear the brunt of the Blackwater mystical snake's injury. However, the Blackwater mystical snake's vitality was extremely strong. Its triangular head turned in the void and was about to fly back. Buzz! Ling Xiao's glabella glowed. A bright beam of light shot out and exploded in the void. It turned into a huge devouring vortex and swallowed the Blackwater mystical snake's head. At the same time, Ling Xiao lunged forward and grabbed the headless body of the Blackwater mystical snake. Terrifying divine energy erupted from his body as he hugged the Blackwater mystical snake tightly. Then, he began to devour the Blackwater mystical snake's essence and blood. Rumble! blazing divine light gushed out of Ling Xiao's body, and the vast sky-devouring sacred domain appeared. After he used the sky-devouring secret technique, the Blackwater mystical snake's blood essence and life origin surged into Ling Xiao's body. The Eastern Sky Sage was scared out of his wits. His eyes were filled with terror. At this moment, he and the Blackwater mystical snake had become one. Ling Xiao was devouring the Blackwater mystical snake's essence and life essence, which made him feel the threat of death. "Save me," the Eastern Sky Great Sage shouted. His voice contained an unconcealable panic and fear. "Kill!" The 7 heavenly kings' eyes flashed with killing intent. They all held their golden spears and charged toward Ling Xiao. However, what was extremely strange was that the void space around Ling Xiao instantly rippled like water. They could only watch as Ling Xiao appeared before them, but it was as if they were separated by an endless stretch of time and space. Whoosh! 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 The yellow sword spear, which contained a sharpness that could pierce through everything, pierced through the void. However, it seemed that there was no way for it to reach Ling Xiao. While Ling Xiao was devouring the Blackwater mystical snake, he used the great teleportation technique and turned into a series of afterimages that could not be seen with the naked eye. More than half of the Blackwater mystical snake's essence and life essence were devoured by Ling Xiao in an instant. If this continued, the Blackwater mystical snake and the Eastern Sky Sage would both die in Ling Xiao's hands. "You're courting death." The cold voice exploded like thunder. The person hiding in the void finally couldn't take it anymore. For incomparably powerful auras fell from the sky like meteors, abruptly charging towards Ling Xiao. Each of them seemed to be able to devour the sun and moon, destroying the heavens and earth. These 4 auras were incomparably powerful, even more terrifying than the Eastern Heavenly Great Sage's aura. However, they were of the same origin as the Eastern Heavenly Great Sage. Clearly, the other 4 Heavenly Great Sages of the 9-layered Imperial Obelisk had arrived. Western Heaven Great Sage, Southern Heaven Great Sage, Northern Heaven Great Sage, and Culmination Great Sage. They were originally hiding in the dark. However, what made them both shocked and angry was that not only did Huang Tai die in the hands of Ling Xiao, but now the Eastern Heaven Great Sage was on the verge of death in an instant. Naturally, they were furious and attacked. The 4 Supreme Saints were like 4 dazzling suns. They were about to pierce through the layers of time and space and attack Ling Xiao, who was wantonly devouring the Blackwater mystical snake's essence blood. Rumble. However, at this moment, a huge palm print soared into the sky. It contained a grand and majestic aura. It was like the sun that had just been born. It scattered down rays of light and stopped the 4 great sages in their tracks. "Lu Bai, how dare you stop us?" A cold and angry voice sounded. Although the 4 Supreme Saints forcibly broke the palm print, they were all stopped by a figure. It was a figure in white with peerless elegance. Although his face couldn't be seen clearly, his eyes were bright, and his body was glowing. He exuded an ethereal and otherworldly temperament from head to toe, like a banished immortal. As he stood in front of the 4 great saints, it was as if a vast world was blocking his way. The 4 great saints looked solemn as they stared at him. "You bully Ling Xiao like this? Do you really think that the War God Temple doesn't exist?" A cold and indifferent voice sounded in the void, majestically spreading in all directions. The white-robed figure was naturally the current war god of the War God Temple, Lu Bai. Everyone's expression couldn't help but tremble. Lu Bai was known as the most outstanding genius of the War God Temple in recent years. His talent was superb, and his combat strength was unparalleled. He was the strongest person in the War God Temple on the surface. He had made many illustrious achievements in the past, which made people respect him. So many years had passed, and no one knew what level he had reached now. Seeing Lu Bai make a move, everyone's eyes were filled with a strange expression. They didn't know whether it was admiration or mockery. Ling Xiao was now the enemy of the entire world, and the War God Temple, which was already in decline, was still willing to make a move at this moment. They really didn't know what Lu Bai was thinking. Lu Bai, Ling Xiao will definitely die today. Since you want to stand up for him, then die with him. The culmination Supreme Saint's eyes were cold, and his body exuded a monstrous killing intent. He instantly attacked Lu Bai. Rumble. The four of them seemed to have discussed it beforehand. The culmination Supreme Saint's aura was incomparably terrifying, and his combat strength exploded as he attacked Ling Xiao. The other three Supreme Saints' eyes were indifferent. They bypassed Lu Bai, wanting to rescue the Blackwater mystical snake and the Eastern Sky Supreme Saint. You'd better stay here, Lu Bai said faintly. His expression was extremely calm. He waved his sleeve at the four great sages. In an instant, the void trembled. His sleeve seemed to contain a vast world. A powerful devouring power burst out and shrouded the four great sages. Universe in the sleeve. Lu Bai had already cultivated the universe in the sleeve to the extreme. It was as if an ancient world was really suppressing them, covering the sky and the sun. The culmination Supreme Saint and the other three Supreme Saints had nowhere to run, and were instantly swallowed into that world. Lu Bai, you're courting death. The four Supreme Saints were shocked and angry. Terrifying chi intertwined around them, and each of them unleashed their strongest power, charging towards Lu Bai, wanting to break out of the universe in the sleeve. Rumble. Lu Bai's expression was indifferent, and his attacks were indifferent. However, every time he collided with the culmination Supreme Saint and the other three Supreme Saints, an earth-shattering power erupted, making it impossible for them to break out of the universe in the sleeve. At this moment, the Blackwater mystical snake's majestic blood essence and life origin had been completely devoured by Ling Xiao, and he was on the verge of death. Ling Xiao's body exuded a vast and majestic aura, adding a bit of ferocious and ancient aura to it. The Eastern Sky Supreme Saint's figure was revealed, and Ling Xiao lifted him up by the neck. How do you want to die? Chapter 23:36. Ling Xiao, if you dare to kill me, you will die without a doubt. At that time, your family and friends will all die a horrible death because of you. The Eastern Heaven Great Sage said fiercely. Although he looked very tough on the surface, there was a trace of unconcealable fear in his eyes. Ling Xiao's combat strength was too terrifying. The Blackwater mystical snake, who was connected to him by life, was now dying. Now that he was choked by Ling Xiao, he felt that it was difficult to breathe. There was a great terror between life and death. Ling Xiao, let go of the Eastern Heaven Great Sage. Otherwise, this seat will make you wish you were dead, unable to die. I will crush your bones and scatter your ashes, and roast your soul in the 9 underworlds fire for billions of years. The culmination Great Sage also shouted angrily at Ling Xiao. He wanted to break through Lu Bai's interception and come to the Eastern Heaven Great Sage's rescue. Ling Xiao, you are simply courting death. If you dare to kill the Eastern Heaven Great Sage, no one in this world can save you. The 7 heavenly kings also sneered and scolded. However, their besieging of Ling Xiao had obviously slowed down a bit. Their eyes flickered, and it was obvious that they each had their own ulterior motives. They were also happy to see Ling Xiao kill the Eastern Heaven Great Sage. Only when Ling Xiao killed the Eastern Heaven Great Sage, would he be completely irreconcilable with the 9 imperial gates. At that time, they might be able to find a better opportunity in the chaotic battle. You are about to die, and you still dare to threaten me? We are already irreconcilable. I will remember all the people who attacked me today, and I will definitely pay you a visit in the future. Today, I will collect some interest first. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed an incomparably cold killing intent. His temperament was incomparably tough, so how could he care about these threats? Boom! A terrifying power erupted from his hand, and he directly broke the Eastern Heaven Great Sage's neck. At the same time, he punched out, and the fist print was unparalleled. It directly hit the Eastern Heaven Great Sage's chest, and the Eastern Heaven Great Sage was blasted into a mist of blood. Roar! The dying Blackwater mystical snake let out a wretched roar and exploded in the air, completely killed by Ling Xiao. Both the Blackwater mystical snake and the East Heaven sage were supreme experts in the great saint realm. Their bodies contained vast and mighty energy. Every piece of their flesh was comparable to a supreme divine elixir, which was enough for the experts in the god realm to advance further after refining. Even for Ling Xiao, it was a great tonic. Ling Xiao had no intention of letting the Blackwater mystical snake and the Eastern Sky Sage go. A terrifying devouring power burst out from his body and instantly swallowed up all the flesh and blood in the sky. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body trembled like a thunderstorm. His blood qi filled the sky, and his bones crackled. Mysterious runes rose up one after another, and a vast amount of energy surged, making his aura even more terrifying. After swallowing the flesh and primordial spirit of the Blackwater mystical snake and the East Heaven sage, Ling Xiao immediately saved 1,000 years of hard cultivation. His body, which was as solid as a rock, began to gradually strengthen. His cultivation showed signs of breaking through to the middle stage of the saint realm. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, dharma, and heart force had all reached the perfect realm. He only needed an opportunity to completely break through and become a saint. Ling Xiao chose the most difficult path of becoming a saint with his body. It also indicated that it would be even more difficult for him to prove his primordial spirit, dharma, and heart force. However, as he glanced at the 7 heavenly kings and the 4 heavenly sages in front of him, Ling Xiao's eyes became sharper. He broke out in extraordinary combat strength. The aura around him was vast and unfathomable. There was a kind of invincible qi power that could swallow the heavens and devour the earth. All of these were the best food for blood. Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring secret skill had been cultivated to the perfect realm. He condensed the heaven-devouring holy domain, and there was nothing he couldn't swallow. These saints and great sages were more useful to Ling Xiao than a supreme saint pill. As long as he swallowed their flesh and primordial spirits, Ling Xiao's cultivation could continue to break through. At this time, Ling Xiao didn't care about the side effects of such a rapid breakthrough and swallowing. He didn't care if it would cause the foundation of his cultivation to be unstable. He needed power. He needed powerful power. He needed invincible power. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. The eyes of the culmination sage and the other great sages instantly turned blood red. They all looked at Ling Xiao with eyes that contained deep-rooted hatred. The 5 heavenly sages of the 9 imperial gates, although they weren't blood brothers, were closer than blood brothers. They had feelings for each other for hundreds of thousands of years. Their parents and relatives might have disappeared. Only the 5 of them supported each other all the way until today. Now, they watched the East Heaven sage die in the hands of Ling Xiao, but they couldn't do anything. In an instant, the hatred and killing intent in their hearts were aroused. And this hatred and killing intent poured down on Lu Bai in front of them. Lu Bai, since you dare to get involved in this mess, then the war god temple will be destroyed. Die. The terrifying aura around the culmination sage rose. Dazzling lightning flashed. He rushed towards Lu Bai. The real body of the Thunder Emperor appeared behind him. It was vast and mighty, exuding an ancient aura that could swallow the world and suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It turned into hundreds of millions of lightning chains and wrapped around Lu Bai's body. Kill. The other 3 great sages also showed hatred in their eyes. They displayed their most powerful killing moves. Beams of divine light flashed. Divine swords pierced the sky. Sabers shattered the stars. Shadows of staffs overturned rivers and seas. At the same time, they attacked Lu Bai. You want to destroy my war god temple? You're not even qualified to be cannon fodder. Let Di Ling come out and talk to me. Lu Bai said indifferently. The bright light around him was vast and mighty. It was as dazzling as the sun. It made his whole body exude an immortal and eternal aura. He waved his sleeves. Suddenly, the lightning chains shattered inch by inch. With a light slap, the chaotic great Tao principles in the sky calmed down again. His palm was as clear as jade. The palm print and the fist shadows intertwined, making it impossible to distinguish what was real and what was fake. However, every time they collided, there would be the sound of metal clashing. The sword light was shattered, the saber aura fell, and the staff shadows were all destroyed. Liu Bai's attack seemed to be without the slightest bit of smoke and fire. Even though the Four Heavens' great sage's battle strength was incomparably terrifying, he was still easily blocked by him. On the other side, after the 7 heavenly kings saw that the East Heaven sage was killed by Ling Xiao, they looked at each other and then charged towards Ling Xiao at the same time. The golden spears in their hands shone brightly. The spears contained a power fluctuation that could penetrate everything. It was as if they had merged into one in the void, making their battle strength incomparably terrifying. The power of the 7 heavenly kings, along with the fusion of the golden spears, seemed to form some kind of powerful battle formation. Everyone's power began to skyrocket. They surrounded Ling Xiao in the center and launched a fatal attack. Chapter 23:37. Boom! 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 Liu Bai fought the 4 heavens' great sage alone, while Ling Xiao fought the 7 heavenly kings alone. The two fierce battlefields in the void were clearly separated, like a terrifying storm sweeping in all directions. The void was shattered because of this fierce battle. Dense cracks appeared in the sky, like a spider web that was about to break at any time. Although they were far away, the terrifying aura made everyone's heart palpitate. Their faces were incomparably pale, and they were full of shock and emotion. The people of the War God Temple are really strong. Ling Xiao has become the chosen one, and his physical body has reached the saint realm. Yet, he is able to go against the rules and kill great saints. This god of war, Liu Bai, is also so terrifying that he can fight 4 heavens' great saints alone. Could it be that this god of war, Liu Bai, is already a saint king? Someone said with emotion. It should be impossible. Liu Bai's cultivation is only at the peak of the great sage realm, but the War God Temple has many geniuses. Although it is ranked last among the 12 immortal holy lands, there are amazing experts in every generation. The Scarlet Dragon War God was like that a million years ago, Liu Bai was like that, and Ling Xiao was like that too. How good is the War God Temple? A white-haired old man sighed softly. He had lived for a long time and had even seen the peerless power of the Scarlet Dragon War God, so he had a deep impression of the War God Temple. What a pity! I heard that the War God Temple came from the bloodline of the ancient War Emperor, but it also has some relationship with the Heavenly Emperor. In the past, the War God Temple was always the most courageous when fighting the devil race, which also led to the death of countless experts. Their strength was weakened, and they were not as strong as the other immortal holy lands. A million years ago, the Scarlet Dragon War God was amazing. It was said that he could go against the flow and kill great sages when he was in the half-saint realm. However, because he obtained the wordless heavenly book, he was hunted down by countless people as soon as he ascended to the position of War God. Although it was said that he was assassinated by the devil race, did the people of the divine world participate? They are very clear. I've also heard of the War God Hall's war a million years ago. It's said that the War God Hall was incomparably tragic. Dozens of supreme elders died in battle, and even the War God Hall's patriarch died in battle. That's why the War God Temple hasn't been able to recover even after a million years. Liu Bai and Ling Xiao are both extremely talented people. If they are given enough time to grow, they might really be able to lead the War God Temple back to glory and prosperity. What a pity. Speaking of which, this Ling Xiao is too heaven-defying. Heaven's chosen one, physical sanctification, and the wordless heavenly book. All of these heaven-defying destinies were given to one person at the same time. How can others not be jealous? This Ling Xiao is also a troublemaker. He had offended more than half of the 12 immortal holy lands. Many holy sons and geniuses of the holy lands had been slaughtered by him. These immortal sacred grounds were just fretting over not being able to find an excuse to deal with him, and now he's delivering himself to our doorstep. What a pity. No matter how amazing they are in this battle, I'm afraid that after today, they will all become history. Since ancient times, too many geniuses have fallen. Geniuses who have not grown up are nothing. Ling Xiao and Lu Bai's powerful battle prowess amazed everyone. However, they also understood that no matter how strong they were, they would not be able to change today's outcome. The foundation of the 12 immortal Holy Lands was not something that ordinary people could imagine. Not to mention that Ling Xiao's physical sanctification, even if he had become a great sage or even a sage ruler, he would not be able to change today's outcome. The inescapable net had been laid, and now it was time to reel in the net. The 4 great sages were all great sages who had mastered the great Tao laws. Their words were law, and their attacks contained unparalleled heavenly might that could wipe out everything. However, at this moment, they seemed to be helpless against Lu Bai. Lu Bai looked calm, and his body was shrouded in a faint light. His expression was incomparably calm, and his attacks did not have the slightest trace of smoke or fire. However, a casual strike could destroy the attacks of the 4 great sages. The 4 great sages were unable to find any flaws in Lu Bai's defense. Moreover, as time passed, they felt like they were being suppressed by Lu Bai. The powerful holy treasures they had summoned should have had the power to destroy everything under the activation of their great sage cultivation. However, they could not even break through Lu Bai's physical body. Kacha. The ancient sword in the hand of the Western Heaven Great Sage was incomparably sharp and extraordinary, as if it could destroy everything. However, under the repeated collisions with Lu Bai, the blazing runes exploded, and a small crack appeared on the sword. The ancient sword's light dimmed. The Western Heaven Great Sage's eyes were filled with incomparable pain, shock, and anger. He did not expect Lu Bai's attack to be so terrifying. Physical sanctification. Lu Bai, you're also a physical sanctification saint. It seems that we have underestimated you. A sharp light flashed in the eyes of the culmination great sage as he stared at Lu Bai. After such a long fight and confirmation, he finally discovered that the reason why Lu Bai's physical body was so terrifying and overbearing was because Lu Bai was also a physical sanctification saint. Only this could explain why Lu Bai's physical body was so terrifying that it could withstand a best-grade holy treasure. Moreover, his attacks were so fierce that even the ancient sword in the hand of the Western Heaven Great Sage was damaged by Lu Bai. What? The Western Heaven Great Sage, the Southern Heaven Great Sage, and the Northern Heaven Great Sage were also shocked. Ling Xiao's physical sanctification saint was already shocking enough. Lu Bai was also a physical sanctification saint. It should be known that Ling Xiao had just entered the saint realm, while Lu Bai had already become a saint countless years ago. They knew better than anyone else what kind of combat strength a great sage expert with physical sanctification saint had. It seems that you are not blind. Don't you want to avenge Huang Tai Eastern Heaven Great Sage? I don't think it's necessary. I'll send you directly to see them. Lu Bai smiled indifferently. Taking advantage of the Western Heaven Great Sage's stupefied state, he punched towards the Western Heaven Great Sage. Rumble. When Lu Bai punched out, his aura suddenly underwent some changes. The original indifferent and ethereal aura disappeared in an instant. A tyrannical and overbearing fighting intent broke out majestically. When he punched out, there was a terrible scene of the sky shattering, the blood of gods and demons, and hundreds of millions of stars falling, directly enveloping the Western Heaven Great Sage. Not good. Third brother, dodge. Chapter 23:38. The culmination Great Sage knew that he had made a big mistake. Under the siege of the 4 of them, he originally thought that he had forced out all of Lu Bai's strength, but he did not expect that Lu Bai had not used his full strength at all. This punch was incomparably overbearing, as if it could pierce through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It contained a vast and unparalleled fighting spirit, which made the culmination Great Sage's scalp tingle. He was afraid that the culmination Great Sage would not be able to block this punch. Get lost. The Southern Heaven Great Sage and the Northern Heaven Great Sage also felt the terrifying fluctuations emitted from Lu Bai's body. They both roared and rushed toward Lu Bai without any regard for their own safety. Huge saber astral force spread over tens of thousands of miles, and the shadow of the staff seemed to be able to smash everything into powder. The vault of heaven shook, and the stars trembled. They attacked Lu Bai from the left and right, displaying their most powerful fighting strength. Seeing Lu Bai's punch coming, the Western Heaven Great Sage wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. He gritted his teeth, and the somewhat damaged ancient sword in his hand pierced through the air. At the same time, he pushed out his other hand, which turned into an ancient mountain, blocking in front of him and Lu Bai. Lu Bai's expression was incomparably calm, but his eyes were fiercer than ever. He did not dodge, and with a wave of his other hand, the vast power of the world gushed out. The void shook violently, as if separating the Southern Heaven Great Sage and the Northern Heaven Great Sage on two ends. His punch pressed forward, and suddenly collided with the ancient sword in Lu Bai's hand. Boom! The void shook violently. The Western Heaven Great Sage felt an unparalleled force coming from the ancient sword in his hand, and it suddenly shattered into powder. The mountain was also directly smashed by Lu Bai's punch, and the Western Heaven Great Sage was directly sent flying. Puff! The Western Heaven Great Sage suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He only felt that the power from Lu Bai's punch poured into his body, shattering all the meridians in his body. Even his incomparably solid bones showed traces of cracks. Lu Bai, how dare you! The Western Heaven Great Sage roared fiercely. After seeing Lu Bai's punch, he did not stop at all. He went straight up, and pointed a finger at the Western Heaven Great Sage's forehead. Why wouldn't I dare? If you want Ling Zhao's life, then exchange it with yours. Lu Bai's eyes were extremely sharp, and his whole body was exuding a monstrous fighting spirit. His finger light contained a fluctuation that could penetrate everything, like a bright light beam. Lu Bai, go to hell. At this moment, the Culmination Grand Sage also charged forward. Lightning blazed around him, and at the same time, a mysterious yellow light shone around him, making him look heavy and ancient. A huge mysterious yellow hammer appeared in his palm, and he smashed it down towards Lu Bai's head. Scram! Lu Bai shouted coldly. He didn't even look at the Heaven Grand Sage. He took a step forward and the heaven and earth resonated. He punched out and collided with the hammer of Xianhuang. In an instant, an unparalleled fist will exploded and sent the hammer of Xianhuang and the Heaven Grand Sage flying. His finger was pointing towards the Western Heaven Great Sage's forehead. Puff! Blood flashed. The Western Heaven Great Sage forcibly moved his head a few inches away at the critical moment of life and death. The finger fell along his cheek, and like a blade, half of his face was cut off. Lu Bai kicked out in the air. His foot contained an unparalleled divine power, and it directly kicked the Western Heaven Great Sage's stomach, sending him flying. Cough, cough, the Western Heaven Great Sage coughed up blood, and the purple robe on his body suddenly exploded into powder. This was a powerful defensive holy treasure, but it was completely destroyed by Lu Bai's kick. His whole body was badly mutilated, and he suffered a fatal blow. He was almost completely shattered. His eyes were filled with incomparable horror. He frantically urged the majestic life source in his body, and a vast holy aura spread out, constantly repairing his damaged body. When Lu Bai was about to kill the Western Heaven Great Sage in one go, the Culmination Grand Sage, the Southern Heaven Great Sage, and the Northern Heaven Great Sage rushed over and rescued the Western Heaven Great Sage from Lu Bai's hands. Boom! 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 Blazing blood light gushed out from the Culmination Grand Sage, the Southern Heaven Great Sage, and the Northern Heaven Great Sage. In an instant, it was like a raging flame. Their aura began to soar violently, and their eyes were filled with incomparable madness. They burned their life source one after another, used their most powerful forbidden technique, and began to fight with all their might. Under the desperate attacks of the three great sages, the surrounding sky was violently shaking. Three bright lights, like pillars of heaven, crossed the sky, and shot toward Lu Bai majestically, containing a power fluctuation that could destroy heaven and earth. Are you going to fight with all your might? It's a pity that your 5 directions Xianhuang formation is missing one person. Otherwise, it might really cause me some trouble. Lu Bai said indifferently. Blazing divine light rose from his body, and with a punch, it was as if an ancient world emerged. Chaos rose, the sun and the moon shook, and unparalleled power collided, suppressing the 3 terrifying lights in the ancient world. He soared into the sky like a newly born sun, exuding a vast power, and rushed toward the culmination Grand Sage and the other 2. The Western Heaven Great Sage had been crippled, and had lost his combat ability. Although the culmination Grand Sage and the other 2 had begun to fight with all their might, and did not hesitate to burn their life source, essence blood, and primordial spirit, they were still suppressed by Lu Bai, and fell into a disadvantageous position. Defeat seemed to be only a matter of time. On the other side, the battle between Ling Xiao and the 7 heavenly kings was also extremely fierce, and soon it became the 8 heavenly kings. The 9th heaven Wang Huaqiu was originally severely injured by Ling Xiao, but after swallowing a powerful healing divine pill, in addition to the vast life source in his body, he quickly recovered and also joined the battle. The 9 heavenly kings of the Hua clan were also proficient in the art of battle formation. After Huaqiu joined in, the 8 heavenly kings were like the 8 brightest stars, shining in the sky, forming a powerful bounded domain, enveloping Ling Xiao in the center. Rumble. A terrifying divine light storm swept over, and streaks of spear light appeared and disappeared mysteriously, as if they could appear behind Ling Xiao at any time. The surrounding thunder roared, and the void shook. Spatial cracks could be seen everywhere, forming a deadly domain. In this bounded domain, Ling Xiao rushed left and right, but it seemed that there was no way to break this bounded domain. Ling Xiao, you should be proud that you can die in this celestial end domain. Huaqiu sneered. The celestial end domain was a mysterious bounded domain built with the power of the 9 heavenly kings. There was no energy replenishment in it, and it could devour all energy. Even a great sage would be trapped to death if he was trapped in it. Chapter 2339. Crack. Bolts of lightning intertwined in the void, and the sky in all directions trembled violently. The absolute heaven boundary formed a terrifying absolute death domain, constantly attacking Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's vital energy and blood surged, and his body was extremely powerful, filled with an immortal luster, looking very mysterious. He kept attacking, dispelling the killing intent, and at the same time, looking for an opportunity to kill his way out of the absolute heaven boundary. Absolute heaven boundary. If it's an ordinary sage, or even a supreme sage, I'm afraid I'll really be trapped here to death. Ling Xiao thought to himself. The power of a sage came from heaven and earth, from the great path law. However, after Ling Xiao's body became a sage, all his power came from himself, from his body's divine treasures. Although the absolute heaven boundary could isolate all great path law and even devour energy, it had no effect on Ling Xiao. Roar. A dragon roar burst out of Ling Xiao's mouth, and he instantly soared into the sky. His body was surrounded by a vast dragon's might, and his eyes were full of bright divine light. He was like a giant golden dragon, rushing above the absolute heaven boundary. The lightning raged around him, but it didn't affect him at all. The giant golden dragon opened its huge dragon's mouth, as if swallowing heaven and earth, and devouring all the violent lightning and great path law around him. Whoosh! 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 Golden spears suddenly fell from the sky, and turned into hundreds of millions of golden spear shadows in an instant, sealing Ling Xiao's entire body. The spear shadows were intertwined like divine chains of order. They were incomparably sturdy and filled with golden runes as if they could seal everything. Even though Ling Xiao's physical body was incomparably strong, he was actually unable to shatter them in a short period of time. Boom! Ling Xiao's eyes were like lightning, and his vital energy and blood surged, burning fiercely. His fists were like dragons, constantly bombarding the spear shadows around him, each strike containing the power to destroy heaven and earth. However, after the spear shadows were shattered by Ling Xiao, they condensed again, multiplying and multiplying endlessly, almost drowning Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was thinking of a way to break through the layers of spear shadows when his heart suddenly trembled, and he felt an incomparably obscure danger approaching, making his hair stand on end. Without thinking, Ling Xiao directly used a teleportation secret technique, turning into an afterimage and moving to the side. Rumble. A terrifying spear light exploded at Ling Xiao's original position. It was like a bolt of golden lightning, following closely behind Ling Xiao, piercing towards him. The power of this attack was terrifying, domineering, and powerful, making Ling Xiao feel an unprecedented threat. He punched out behind him, and the fist imprint was unparalleled, as if a mountain had appeared. Crack! The spear light pierced through everything and shattered Ling Xiao's fist. Then, it pierced through the layers of afterimages and stabbed into Ling Xiao's back. Puff! Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. A bowl-sized hole appeared on his back. He activated the majestic life force in his body, and the injuries on his back began to heal at a visible rate. However, Ling Xiao's gaze became extremely cold. Great Heavenly King of the Hua clan. Ling Xiao stared at the figure that appeared behind him and said coldly. It was a young man in purple armor who looked valiant. He held a golden war spear in his hand, and his body exuded an incomparably sharp aura. His eyes were incomparably cold, and there was a kind of arrogance and indifference that looked down on the world. When he appeared in the Heaven End domain, the entire Heaven End domain seemed to be boiling, as if all the endless power was added to his body, making him extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao felt the aura on his body was of the same origin as the 8 heavenly kings of the Hua clan. He instantly guessed the identity of this young man. The head of the 9 heavenly kings, the great heavenly king of the Hua clan. It seems that you are not stupid. Unfortunately, you have offended the Hua clan. No one can save you today. Go to hell obediently. The great heavenly king said coldly, and the aura around him became sharper as if he had already regarded Ling Xiao as a dead man. His cultivation was naturally the most powerful among the 9 heavenly kings. He was already at the peak of the great sage realm. At this moment, under the support of the Heaven End domain, there was a trend of transforming into the Saint King realm. His combat strength was extremely terrifying. Just now, he took advantage of Ling Xiao's battle in the Heaven End domain and let his guard down for a moment. He suddenly launched a sneak attack on Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao's physical body was not strong enough, his body would have been completely torn apart by the spear. Whoosh! The great heavenly king held the golden spear and charged towards Ling Xiao. The murderous aura around him became extremely terrifying in an instant. So what if you are the great heavenly king? If you want to take my life, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Ling Xiao's eyes were covered with a layer of blood, revealing a trace of crazy killing intent. He soared into the sky and charged towards the great heavenly king. Rumble. The void shook violently, and the sky was rumbling. The Heaven End domain was shaking violently as if billions of stars had fallen at the same time. The divine light was boiling, setting off monstrous waves. Under the leadership of the great heavenly king, the 9 heavenly kings not only laid down the Heaven End domain, but also attacked Ling Xiao with all their strength. The 9 heavenly kings' strength was extremely terrifying, especially the great heavenly king, who posed a great threat to Ling Xiao. In the beginning, Ling Xiao was still able to contend with him, but soon, he was completely at a disadvantage. Boom! Ling Xiao was swept away by the golden spear. His body shook violently, and several ribs on his chest were broken. He staggered back, coughing up blood, and his face became extremely pale. The great heavenly king's expression was extremely cold. He punched Ling Xiao's chest. The terrifying saint force surged, turning into a blazing blade and entered Ling Xiao's body, wanting to turn Ling Xiao's body into dust. Puff! Hua Qiu also took the opportunity to stab with his spear. The spear light was extremely sharp, leaving a bloody hole on Ling Xiao's thigh. Ling Xiao's face became even paler under the pain. Ling Xiao, weren't you arrogant? What bullshit, heaven's chosen son. Today, let us 9 brothers send you on your way. Hua Qiu sneered. His eyes were full of satisfaction, as if the depression left after being severely injured by Ling Xiao had been alleviated. He felt an unprecedented pleasure. Under the attack of the 9 heavenly kings, Ling Xiao was completely at a disadvantage. He could only passively resist, and the frequency of his counterattacks was getting slower and slower. His entire body was badly mutilated, and his aura had also become extremely weak. Everyone who saw this couldn't bear to see him like this. It seems like Ling Xiao is really going to die this time. If the 9 heavenly kings join forces, they might even be able to fight a Saint King. Ling Xiao is still too young. Chapter 2340. Despicable. Granny, when will the sect master strike? Shui Wei was extremely anxious as she asked the old woman beside her. At this moment, she felt that she was so weak that she could not even intervene in the battle. She was afraid that the aftermath of the battle would be enough to kill her. She could only pin her hopes on the sect master. Saintess, don't worry. The sect master said that he will protect him and make sure that he doesn't die. He will naturally strike at the critical moment. I think this kid is very tough. He won't die so easily. The old woman comforted Shui Wei. On the other side, Feng Qingyang looked at Jin Sei curiously and said, Junior sister Jin Sei, why aren't you worried at all? Didn't you see that brother Ling Xiao is about to be killed by those 9 bastards? Those 9 ants won't be able to kill him. Jin Sei said calmly without the slightest trace of worry. How can you be so sure? Feng Qingyang asked. Ling Xiao's physical body is at the Sage Realm and he is the chosen one. How can he be defeated so easily? Moreover, don't forget that Ling Xiao has the wordless heavenly book. He hasn't even used it yet. Jin Sei said slowly. Wordless heavenly book? I had forgotten about that. I know, brother Ling Xiao must be pretending to be weak. I don't know what evil tricks he has up his sleeves. Feng Qingyang suddenly realized. Boom! The great Sky King's golden spear swept across the sky like a bolt of golden lightning. Its speed was extremely fast. Ling Xiao was severely injured. It seemed that he had no way to resist. The golden spear pierced through his body in an instant. Blood filled the air as he coughed out blood. His expression seemed to have become a little sluggish. Go to hell! Hua Qiu and the others roared at the same time. 8 golden battle spears pierced through the air and pierced through Ling Xiao's body. Even his glabella was pierced through by a golden battle spear. It was as though he was nailed to death in the void. Ling Xiao's life aura instantly became extremely weak. This guy should be dead, right? Strange, he has the wordless heavenly book. Why didn't he use it? Hua Qiu looked at Ling Xiao and asked curiously. Wordless heavenly book? Oh no. After hearing Hua Qiu's words, the great Sky King couldn't help but tremble. His eyes revealed an incomparably dignified expression. Rumble. Almost as soon as Hua Qiu and the great heavenly king finished speaking, Ling Xiao, whose life force was originally extremely weak, suddenly trembled all over. A terrifying wave of energy gushed out from his body. Dazzling and boundless 7-colored heavenly light spread out. At the same time, a wave of energy that could devour everything spread out from Ling Xiao's body. The space between his eyebrows glowed brilliantly. The wordless heavenly book soared into the sky, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura as it floated above Ling Xiao's head. Crack! The textless heavenly scripture seemed to contain layers upon layers of space. It was mysterious and powerful. After its appearance, the absolute heaven world was directly broken by the scripture. Soaring firmament also left the scripture. At this moment, the 9 golden spears in Ling Xiao's body exploded with a crisp sound and were directly devoured by Ling Xiao's body. A sound like a tsunami came from Ling Xiao's body. It was like a surging wave. Boundless Tao will spread out, causing the great Tao precepts in the surroundings to tremble violently. Then, they gushed towards him. Buzz! A wave of energy from a breakthrough came from Ling Xiao's body. Boundless great Tao precepts rose, and the great Tao divine sound intertwined. It was like the chanting of ancient ancestors, but also like the Tao sound of a celestial emperor imparting scriptures. It was incomparably vast. I still have to thank all of you. Without all of you, I wouldn't have broken through so quickly. Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. His calm gaze fell on the 9 heavenly kings. There seemed to be a hint of mockery in his eyes. What? How could you have broken through? Weren't you about to die? Hua Qiu's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief. What a scheme! What a trick! Using the pressure of the 9 of us to break through. I have to say, Ling Xiao, you're really courageous. But so what if you've broken through? It's destined that you won't be able to change your fate. The great Sky King stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly. His eyes were filled with blazing killing intent. Rumble. However, just as he finished speaking, a bright beam of light shot out from between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. A mysterious primordial spirit floated out, surrounded by golden lotuses. It turned into a vast devouring vortex and began to devour the surrounding chaotic energy. Another powerful wave of energy from a breakthrough exploded from Ling Xiao's body. Precepts becoming a saint. Primordial spirit becoming a saint. How is this possible? Everyone was instantly stunned. Previously, Ling Xiao's physical body becoming a saint had shocked everyone. They felt as if they had seen a legendary figure. However, they did not expect the great Tao precepts in Ling Xiao's body to be perfected in such a short time. He had broken through during the battle with the 9 heavenly kings. Precepts becoming a saint was the most common path of proving one's Tao. However, with Ling Xiao's physical body becoming a saint, it naturally became extraordinary. Not to mention that Ling Xiao's primordial spirit was now perfect and flawless. He had broken through at the same time, and his primordial spirit became a saint. Rumble. A vast saint's aura filled the air. Streaks of blazing lightning appeared in the sky, filled with vast flames. It was as if the heavens were punishing the heavens. This was a saint's tribulation, but it was not an ordinary one. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed, causing everyone's hearts to palpitate. If Ling Xiao managed to survive this tribulation, he would most likely become one of the 3 saints that had shocked the entire world. We have to stop him. The 9 heavenly kings looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. At the same time, they unleashed their powerful cultivation base and attacked Ling Xiao like 9 dazzling suns. Physical body becoming a saint, precepts becoming a saint, and primordial spirit becoming a saint. This Ling Xiao is too heaven-defying. He's only missing the Tao of Heart from the legendary 4 great sacred Taos. Could it be that his Tao of Heart has reached perfection? Someone's heart skipped a beat as a thought suddenly appeared in his mind. It shouldn't be possible. I've never heard of Ling Xiao's attainments in the heart path. Being able to become a triple saint is already shocking enough. I'm afraid it's difficult to find such a genius in a great world. If his heart path becomes a saint, won't he be destined to reach the peak and prove his Tao and become an emperor? That's too difficult. Someone shook his head and said. Rumble. As if to prove their words, Ling Xiao's body spewed out vast great Tao precepts. The primordial spirit between his eyebrows sat cross-legged in the void and devoured the chaos. The vast saint's aura was about to descend from the sky. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao's body emitted a vast and ethereal aura, slowly forming a mysterious world around him. In the beginning, that world was still somewhat illusory, but it soon became real. That's the heart realm. Heart path becoming a saint. Could it be that he's really going to prove his Tao and become a quadruple saint? Someone exclaimed, his voice trembling uncontrollably. Chapter 2341. Divine laws, primordial spirit, heart force, and physical body sage were the 4 paths that led to the pinnacle of the great Tao. Breaking through from the divine way to the divine way was a sublimation of the level of life. It was also a kind of evolution of living beings. One could explore more of the mysteries of heaven and earth. It was the path that countless experts pursued. Divine laws was the most common path. Directly comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth, understanding the power of the great Tao, and using the great Tao to prove one's Tao and become a saint. This was the path that most experts in the divine world would take. On the other hand, primordial spirit and heart force were much more difficult. There were specific conditions. Some races with powerful primordial spirit or heart force could prove one's Tao with their primordial spirit or heart force. Just like those Buddhists in the divine world, most of them took the path of heart force. As for physical sanctification, it was the most difficult of the four paths. Even though the demon clan, the devil clan, and the sorcerer clan had always been known for their powerful physical bodies, there were very few who could achieve physical sanctification among the three clans. All of them were peerless geniuses who could lead the younger generation. The human race had always had weak physical bodies. Therefore, it was very difficult to achieve physical body sage. In the history of the human race, those who could achieve physical body sage were all the most dazzling figures. Ling Xiao's physical body sage had already shocked everyone. Now, his divine laws, primordial spirit, and heart force had all reached perfection. He wanted to prove one's Tao and become a saint at the same time. There were many dazzling figures who could achieve physical body sage. However, the four saints of Tao might only exist in legends. They existed in ancient myths and legends. Only those powerful beings who were born naturally could achieve physical body sage. This was a legend. Everyone was witnessing the birth of a legend. Rumble. The sky trembled violently as if it was going to shatter completely. Bolts of lightning intertwined with each other, containing extremely terrifying energy fluctuations. Vast saint aura spread down as if it was going to destroy the world. It completely locked Ling Xiao down below. Ling Xiao felt his hair stand on end. This kind of aura seemed to be able to destroy everything. Even his divine tribulation of physical body sage wasn't as terrifying as this. Ling Xiao vaguely felt that maybe he was too arrogant. The Tao of the four saints was an act that defied the heavens. The great Tao of heaven and earth and the universe probably couldn't tolerate his existence. Although Ling Xiao had become the chosen one and had received the blessing of the heavenly Tao and could withstand a portion of the heavenly might, there was still an extremely powerful heavenly tribulation descending. Crack! Bolts of lightning as thick as mountains intertwined with seven-colored divine light. They contained the vast power of the five elements and yin and yang. They seemed to be able to disintegrate everything as they descended upon him. Those thunderbolts were destructive, causing the entire Ling Xiao mountain range to tremble violently. In an instant, it completely enveloped Ling Xiao. Boom! The 9 heavenly kings, who were originally charging towards Ling Xiao, were now trembling violently. The golden battle spears in their hands were struck by streaks of lightning. Their bodies trembled violently as they were sent flying backwards. Damn it! How could there be such a terrifying divine tribulation in the four saints' realm? The great heavenly king's expression was extremely ugly. His eyes were filled with disbelief. It wasn't that they couldn't charge in and attack Ling Xiao, but the saint catastrophe in the sky was too terrifying. It made their scalps tingle, and they felt a great threat. If he were to rush in like this, he would be severely injured even if he didn't die. The four saints' realm. Could it be that we have helped him achieve his goal? Since ancient times, there has never been anyone who has reached the four saints' realm. Could it be that Ling Xiao is really blessed by the heavenly Tao? The 2 heavenly kings and the others looked a little uneasy. Ling Xiao was truly beyond their imagination. If they couldn't completely kill such a peerless figure, once he grew stronger, they would be the ones to die. Brothers, don't worry. Even we can't withstand such a terrifying divine tribulation. I'm afraid that even if Ling Xiao survives the divine tribulation, his vitality will be greatly damaged. We only need to wait for him to pass the divine tribulation. Once he survives, we will immediately surround and kill him, not giving him a chance to recover. 9th Heavenly King Huaqiu sneered coldly. The more heaven-defying Ling Xiao's talent was, the more it aroused the killing intent in their hearts. Although they couldn't attack Ling Xiao now, they had all made up their minds. After Ling Xiao passed the divine tribulation, they would directly kill him. The Four Saints' Realm. What level of combat strength will Ling Xiao reach? Everyone secretly thought in their hearts. Ling Xiao, whose physical body was sanctified, was already able to fight against a great saint. He even went against the flow and killed the Eastern Heaven Great Saint. Then, how terrifying would Ling Xiao be after reaching the Four Saints' Realm? Not to mention, Ling Xiao had not even taken out the legendary Chaos Treasure, the wordless heavenly book. Could it be that today Ling Xiao can really escape with his life? A thought suddenly emerged in someone's heart. Ah! Suddenly, a miserable scream came from afar. In the void, a rain of blood swirled in the air. Heaven and earth shook violently. The Western Heaven Great Saint's body was torn apart in the void. Even his primordial spirit was blown to smithereens. The scene was incomparably terrifying. Lu Bai's eyes were sharp. He slowly withdrew his fist. His unparalleled fist intent was vast and mighty in the void. It condensed and did not disperse, containing a kind of peerless battle intent and killing power. Just now, when Ling Xiao broke through to the Four Saints' realm, that kind of terrifying fluctuation was too shocking. Even the culmination Great Sage and the others were unavoidably alarmed. When they were slightly distracted, Lu Bai instantly found the opportunity and directly obliterated the Western Heaven Great Sage. Of the 5 Heavens Great Saints of the 9 Imperial Gates, the Eastern Heaven Great Saint was killed by Ling Xiao. Now, the Western Heaven Great Saint was killed by Lu Bai. The culmination Great Saint and the others did not even have the chance to rescue them. Ah! Lu Bai, I will kill you. The culmination Great Saint was completely deranged. His eyes were filled with cold bloodlust and killing intent. The Southern Heaven Great Saint and Northern Heaven Great Saint showed bone-deep hatred. They began to go berserk. Their blood chi surged violently, and the vast saint power began to burn. The 5 of them were not blood brothers, but they were closer than blood brothers. Now that 2 of them had died in battle in a day, they instantly went crazy. Those who kill will be killed by others. Do you really think I don't know how much the 9 Imperial Gates have suppressed my war god temple? From today onwards, I will make you pay back the debts you owe me. Lu Bai stared at the culmination Great Saint and the others and said indifferently. Although his voice was not loud, it was incomparably clear to everyone's ears. This Lu Bai is also a ruthless person. Everyone could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. They looked at Lu Bai with eyes full of reverence. Chapter 2342. Kill. Culmination Grand Sage roared. His cultivation base of Great Sage Peak was fully stimulated. At the same time, he burned his life source. In an instant, he burned 100,000 years of his life, turning it into an incomparably terrifying attack power, and rushed towards Lu Bai. The Southern Heaven Great Sage and the Northern Heaven Great Sage also went crazy. At this moment, they didn't care about anything else. They even forgot that the purpose of this trip was to save Ling Xiao. At this moment, they only wanted to kill Lu Bai and tear him into pieces to pay tribute to the souls of the Eastern Heaven Great Sage and the Western Heaven Great Sage. Rumble. 3 terrifying saint lights vibrated in the void and collided with Lu Bai in an instant. Ling Xiao, who was in the endless sea of lightning, was also facing a terrifying crisis. The lightning that emitted 7-colored divine light seemed to be formless and formless. His powerful body couldn't withstand it at all. It directly passed through his body and struck his primordial spirit. It blasted into his mind realm and finally traveled through his entire body as if it wanted to destroy all the great Tao precepts in his body. In the face of such a terrifying divine tribulation, Ling Xiao seemed to have no way to resist it. He couldn't rely on external forces. He could only stay true to his heart and withstand it with his body. In the vast sea of lightning, the divine aura filled the air. It was a power that wanted to destroy everything. It made all living things tremble and unable to withstand it. Ling Xiao could feel that if he didn't have the heavenly way luck, he wouldn't have been able to withstand such a terrifying divine tribulation. I was careless. No wonder old man Heavenly Way once said that the 4 saint realms were so difficult and that I must be extremely careful. I must advance step by step and go through the divine tribulation separately. Ling Xiao thought to himself secretly. In the divine tribulation, Ling Xiao could clearly feel that his precepts, primordial spirit, and heart force were perfect. However, he could see that there were still many flaws. It was these flaws that caused him to suffer heavy injuries in the divine tribulation. Even though his life source was extremely strong and his body was immortal, and he could be reborn from a drop of blood, his injuries were getting worse. Rumble. The saint tribulation became more and more terrifying. The sea of lightning enveloped the sky, as if chaos was opening up the heavens and earth. Ling Xiao could vaguely see 9 incomparably powerful silhouettes appearing. Each silhouette became more and more corporeal, but it was as if they were hidden in an illusion. The 9 emperors of the human tribe had appeared again. This time around, the 9 emperors of the human race were even more horrifying. When they joined forces, it was as though they could wipe out all living beings. After the appearance of the 9 emperors of the human clan, the divine trial became even more chaotic and terrifying. Bolts of lightning intertwined, emitting an aura fluctuation that made one's heart tremble. Although it was not Ling Xiao's first time facing the 9 emperors of the human clan, he could feel that each time he encountered the 9 emperors' shadows, the 9 emperors' powers would grow stronger. Rumble. He moved freely in the sea of lightning, ignoring the terrifying destructive power of the divine tribulation. He clashed with the 9 large phantoms, and an incomparably terrifying fluctuation erupted, almost shattering the surrounding sea of lightning. What's going on? I seem to see the scene of a huge battle in the sky. Isn't Ling Xiao undergoing his tribulation? Why are you fighting with someone? Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with shock. Aren't you all ignorant and inexperienced? When heaven-defying characters undergo their tribulations, they can activate the mysterious imprints in the world. Phantoms of ancient experts, chaos fiend gods, and even primordial ferocious beasts will appear. Ling Xiao should be fighting against those imprints right now. It's not surprising. An old sage stroked his beard and slowly explained. Fighting against the imprints of heaven-defying beings? This Ling Xiao is really a demon. Perhaps he can also be imprinted by the world and appear countless years later when others are undergoing their tribulations. He can be considered as some kind of immortal. Someone said enviously. The 9 heavenly kings stood outside the divine tribulation, their eyes cold and filled with killing intent. Hearing the discussions around them, they were even more determined to kill Ling Xiao. Rumble. The battle between Ling Xiao and the phantoms of the 9 emperors was extremely intense. Although he had already become a saint, the phantoms of the 9 emperors seemed to have gained even more power. When they fought at the same level, Ling Xiao could feel the invincible power of the 9 emperors of the human race that suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 earths and swept through all the worlds. In the end, after Ling Xiao destroyed the 9 large phantoms one by one, he was also severely injured. His body was a bloody mess, and because of the imprint of the Supreme Emperor's aura, his recovery became incomparably slow. Ling Xiao saw the 9 heavenly kings, who were waiting for him, from the corner of his eyes, and almost instantly understood their plan. You want to wait for me to pass the divine tribulation and strike while I'm severely injured? In that case, have a taste of the power of the divine tribulation. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. In an instant, he charged towards the 9 heavenly kings. Rumble. As Ling Xiao moved, the divine tribulation also began to move. Especially when he sensed that the 9 heavenly kings had appeared within the range of the divine tribulation, Ling Xiao's divine tribulation became even more terrifying. Bolts of lightning raged, crossing the 9 heavens like a mountain range, and fell towards Ling Xiao and the 9 heavenly kings at the same time. Bastard! The 9 heavenly kings' faces changed drastically, and they were so angry that they almost jumped up. They didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so crazy. He actually dared to continue attacking them when he was undergoing the divine tribulation. One should know that if other people appeared during the divine tribulation, the power of the divine tribulation would multiply. It would be seen as a provocation to the heavenly Tao, and it would destroy everything. How dare Ling Xiao do this? The 9 heavenly kings couldn't figure it out. After all, the current divine tribulation was already terrifying enough. Ling Xiao was so crazy to drag the 9 heavenly kings into the divine tribulation. Even if the 9 heavenly kings were severely injured or killed by the divine tribulation, Ling Xiao would undoubtedly die. They didn't have time to think because Ling Xiao had already charged over. Rumble. Terrifying fist prints swept across the world, and Ling Xiao's fist blasted towards Hua Qiu. Under Ling Xiao's secret teleportation technique, his speed was extremely fast, and Hua Qiu had no way to dodge at all. He could only passively resist. Although Ling Xiao's body was badly mutilated, and he was deeply injured, his physical body was unparalleled. After destroying the 9 heavenly kings' phantoms, his body was even more ferocious. Hua Qiu's face changed drastically. He could only crazily mobilize all the strength in his body to resist, and at the same time, he wanted to retreat quickly. Crack! Ling Xiao's overbearing fist collided with Hua Qiu's, and instantly made his body tremble. A crisp sound came from his arm, and it directly exploded with a loud bang. He staggered back, but at this moment, vast lightning fell from the sky and struck his body, causing him to tremble all over. He coughed out blood, and his whole body seemed to be numb. Save me! Hua Qiu's eyes were filled with incomparable terror, and he called for help from the great heavenly kings and the others. Bang! Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably cold. He descended from the sky and stepped on Hua Qiu's body. Under the illumination of the lightning, Hua Qiu directly exploded into a mist of blood. 9th brother.